Hey, how's it going? You are here for Heavy Art Talk and for the first panel of the new year. It's actually the biggest panel we've had thus far, all familiar faces, all good friends of mine. And the central topic for today is inspiration from the unexpected. So what does that mean? Well, if you were to look on, the Instagram profile of any of these artists, you wouldn't expect what they're going to be talking about as a source of inspiration, myself included. So without further ado, I'm going to let everybody into the stage, and we'll just kind of start with a little bit of chit chat, and then we'll do a little bit of peer critique and just kind of talking about what's new in our world. So I'm going to add Noah. What's up, man?
Hey, how you doing, Lee?
Doing great, doing great. Alex.
Hello.
Caroline.
Feels like Hollywood Squares.
Yeah.
It does. I'm a terrible host. There we go. We got the full group. How have you guys been? I mean, it's been pretty dang cold lately.
Not cold enough.
Yeah, could be a lot colder for my.
Would love some
I
snow.
apologize ahead of time too if I drop out for some reason. We've got really high winds here, and the power keeps flickering, so I may lose my internet. We'll see what happens. So I apologize in advance.
I'm gonna have to echo that as well. It's been really windy around here, and there's a lot of really big trees, and they keep falling. So, yeah. But hopefully that doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Well, I don't know about you guys, but like for me, it's kind of hard, with the calendar year, and I guess everybody's like, oh, New Year's resolutions and getting inspired. But for me, it's like January, and I don't mean to be a downer. January is my least favorite month of the year, and it's like the last time that I would want to be like, oh, this is everything I want to accomplish this year and get all, grand about it. I always have a lot of trouble in January, kind of being motivated and stuff.
Yeah. I don't know what my goals are.
Month.
Well, I didn't know that.
Birthday month. It's like my
Happy
favorite
birthday.
One. Yeah.
January should be like soup and snow and coziness. So
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Fuck being industrious. Just be snuggly.
I think it should be the law so that January is just off for everybody, no matter what.
It's
Everyone's
so nice.
supported through it. I just,
Yeah.
I don't like it either.
Favorite January, the moment it turned midnight on New Year's, I stepped in human shit that had been left on my doorstep. So every year where that doesn't happen, I feel like I'm doing pretty good. That was not this year, so I'm doing great, is what I'm
I was
saying.
gonna say a nice addition to the eggs that have been on your doorstep apparently for.
Oh, my car got egged.
Oh, nice, fun, good times for you.
And I would say about 40 minutes before we started recording, I had to replace the battery in it. So this year still sucks, to be clear. No human shit, but I don't love it.
Yeah.
This
hasn't really been a great January so far. I haven't really felt very birthday-ish this month.
What day is the birthday?
The 22nd.
Oh, did you
So
know?
you got a couple. Yeah.
Sorry, Carol, this is really important.
I was gonna say that makes it easy to remember though, because you can be like, it's a month after my birthday, and
my birthday is December 22nd. I think we should all go around and say our birthdays.
no.
I'm trying to avoid having personal information out there.
Yeah, my social security number.
Yeah.
Here's
Our
my driver's
maiden
license.
name.
It's the street you grew up on.
Right.
Grew up on. What was
First
the name
pet.
of what was your first car? What's your favorite food?
I would love to talk about all of those things.
Wasn't that how you got your porn star name? Was your first pet plus the road you grew up on?
You asked that like everyone knows my porn star name.
I think it was supposed to be. No, I think it was supposed to be your name and then the street you grew up on.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. Because then there was some like plausible like human name, but middle names are always just like much weirder usually.
I mean, I'm working off of knowledge from about 20, 30 years ago from like middle school, so it's kind of like, yeah.
I mean, this is that far in the rearview mirror for me as well.
Yeah. Clearly, I didn't go down that path, so I haven't thought about it that often. But it just came up when you said pet and road you grew up on. Sorry. Anyway, getting back. Apologize for that, Jibber.
Here's just kind of a random question. What's like a recent movie you guys have seen that you've been enjoying?
Does it have to be new or just
No.
a movie that?
No.
Oh man, I watched Spinal Tap last night again,
Oh,
It's
classic.
a great movie. It's a good movie.
and I still laugh.
Yes.
I'll,
It's
I'll,
amazing. There's
I'll be
one
completely honest with
line.
you.
That, what's up?
gonna say I've never. You go ahead. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, there's so many great lines from it. My favorite line that I quote all the time, and no one except for like my wife knows what I'm saying, is Spinal Tap meets this guy Duke Fame in a hotel area, and they're talking with the manager at this other band, and the manager goes, "We love to sit and chat, but we have to go wait in the lobby, or we have to go sit in the lobby and wait for the limo." And anytime I'm in a social situation where I want to get out of it, I say that, and people just kind of laugh. They don't realize that's me being an asshole, and my wife just rolls her eyes. And every time I hear it, it just kills me. So I enjoyed that last night. Yeah.
Isn't there like talks of a Spinal Tap 2 or something?
And they've always talked
Think
about it.
so,
They actually did. They had a small one called Break Like the Wind, which wasn't very good. But, I mean, in all honesty, I think A Mighty Wind was kind of like that. I mean, it had, the three guys. They were just in a folk band and old. And in my eyes, I was like, that's kind of like, that's kind of them. They left the heavy metal world and picked up acoustic.
I gotta watch that movie at some point because, like, I came up. My parents were like big into folk music and stuff like that, so I feel like that's going to be.
It's worth watching. It's good.
Yeah,
it's a good movie.
Yeah, it's funny. It's pretty good.
Best in
That
Show
was
is also
hard.
good.
Yeah.
The same thing. Yeah, Best in Show is also good.
Yeah.
That was really good. Yeah.
I watched Poor Things yesterday. Have you guys seen that yet?
It's on my list. It's based on a book by this guy Alistair Gray, which I didn't realize, but I've read that dude's like main book that he's known for, and I reread it this past year, and it was fucking awesome. So if you haven't read Lanark, it's like the guy who wrote it was also a visual artist, so there's like a lot of visual art stuff that comes into it that's really. The protagonist is also just a real piece of shit, but
Yeah. I'm sold.
Yeah, it's great.
Nice.
I mean, I was surprised. My wife loved the movie. She was like dying laughing like a ton, and because I can never pronounce his name, but it's like Yorgos Lanthimos or something like that.
Yeah.
But like some of his other films, I'd be like, I don't think she would like it. But then we went to this, and she was. I mean, it is the funniest one I've seen of his, type of movies.
Yeah, not really known for comedies, that guy, right?
No.
He's like bleakly funny.
Well, you know what? I never saw The Lobster, which is a legend.
Oh my god, dude,
It's
that
pretty
movie
funny.
is hysterical.
Yeah.
It's fucked up, but it's really funny.
Yeah.
Like
I think of him as the Dogtooth guy, and then
Oh God, yeah.
fucking Killing of a Sacred Deer, which is not funny on purpose. Maybe
no, that movie's
maybe
funny.
it is.
Again, like he's like a fucked up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've been dying to see Poor Things, but
Yeah.
as you probably personally know, Lee, the Statesboro AMC doesn't really get a lot of
No.
movies besides like the Eras Tour and the Beekeeper. So
I
it
really
can be
want to see
kind
the
of
Beekeeper
I
though.
was gonna say that's a real Caroline movie.
yeah. No, I'm really excited to see that though. So whenever it actually becomes available, I've been dying to just like the style. It looks very almost like. I always love those like Polish artists, that do like the poster design. That's kind of the vibe I get from all the looks on it. So
Yeah.
The posters
Yeah.
Those are Alex's favorite.
Oh yeah.
that they got me immediately with that, like she's got like a big hole in her chest with silk or something flying out of it. I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
couldn't
Do
be
you
more
know,
targeted to me.
Who is it? Jens Fankmeyer. Does anybody know? Yeah. Like the log baby. I never remember the names, but he did an Alice in Wonderland that was really cool. And
Yeah.
Oh, he's so cool. But that, like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, it kind of looks like almost like a live action Svankmeyer type.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say that I'll probably rent it as soon as it becomes available because I'm really bad at seeing stuff in the theater because I can't fucking sit still long enough. So I like being able to pause things.
Totally.
I like not being able to pause things because I'll actually watch it. Like, it's the only way I can get through shit anymore is if I'm like locked in a dark room with nothing to do but stare at that moving image.
That's fair. I really want to see the new Miyazaki.
Yep.
Me too.
Or I guess it's
Pretty cool.
Is it Miyazaki or is it Ghibli?
It's
Like-
Miyazaki with like
Okay.
and buddies. Like,
Okay.
this is a whole Pandora's box. Like, I'm the biggest dork in this room, I promise. I know.
I don't know.
It's tough competition, but
You are one of the biggest dorks I know, and I know a lot of really, really huge nerds.
thank you. Thanks. Sick. But yeah, I whatever. I don't want to spend like the next 2 hours talking about this movie. I mean, I would like to do that, but
Yeah.
I don't think we should. But yeah, he's so old now that I think he doesn't like take control of every scene the way he used to. So there's like a lot. You can tell there's like other people working on it that are like adding something. It doesn't just look like him. Anyway, I'm gonna take a breath and stop talking about this.
Lee, I don't remember the order that you proposed for people answering stuff because, again, I have.
It only matters once I get the slide deck up
Cool.
because that's like baked in.
So my answer is not a movie because I'm really bad at movies, but Scavenger's Reign. If you guys saw that. So it's an HBO short series. Oh, okay. This entire fucking group of people, you all need to watch this. It's a cartoon. It's HBO Max, whatever the fuck they're calling it now.
That's recent, right? I think
it's recent. Yeah. So they just finished it. It's got like it's the way that it's described in a lot of the interviews with the people who worked on it is that it's a love letter to drawing. And it really, really fucking is. Like, I have a really hard time like paying attention to like extended like visual media stuff for I don't know, just like it's a thing. But this like really, I was sitting down and I was like rapt the whole time, and like
cool.
yeah, one of the guy who's the supervising director for animation is somebody that actually went to he was in my graduating class in college, and he's just like the nicest dude. So being able to also like see that this guy is like helming this incredible like artistic narrative, like science fiction epic. I don't know. It's fucking awesome on that level too. Like I was cheering. I was just like, holy shit, this is so good.
Damn.
It's short too. So
I definitely check it out. I was just looking at some of the images on Google from it. It looks pretty.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty badass.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Nice.
Nice. Sweet. So may I go next? I have a group of friends who, just to kind of lead into this, I have a group of friends and we live all around the country because we tangentially knew each other through friends of friends during the pandemic, and we would get together on Zoom calls and like watch movies and stuff like that. So we every week we have a wheel movie. So we all add a movie to the wheel and we spin it, and whatever
Nice.
it lands on, we watch it. And one of our friends added the movie The Peanut Butter Solution, which I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with that movie, but yeah. Okay, Alex, you're not. Yeah, it's one of the most insane TV movies I've ever seen in my life. I'd heard about it, but like, it's about this kid, and he sees something in an abandoned house, and it scares him so bad he loses his hair, and then in the middle of the night, like he dreams, and these ghosts tell him to they tell him about a recipe for a concoction of how to get his hair back. And the key ingredient is peanut butter. So then he makes it. He wakes up, he makes it, he rubs it all over his head, and then his hair grows uncontrollably. And it just keeps spiraling and spiraling. And then there's like an art teacher that was his teacher. And it turns out he's got like, I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but like this, I don't know. It's one of those, you know.
I feel like if a movie came out that long ago, like the statute of limitations on spoiling it has expired.
For sure. But yeah, and it's like their art teacher, it turns out he's keeping all these kids captive who have their hair growing uncontrollably, and he's cutting it and using it for paintbrushes. And then it's ridiculous. I mean, we had a great time, but That's what's so fun about that whole wheel thing we do is just we try to find the most out of pocket things possible and add them to the wheel, and then it's like, yeah.
That's
So,
a great idea.
peanut butter
I'm sure-
solution.
as a
Can't
bald-
recommend it enough.
It triggers me, man. I need that peanut butter on my hair.
Yeah, it
My
hits-
If you want it to grow, if you
Yeah.
want it to grow endlessly and have it harvested for paintbrushes,
Hey, I'll take the good with the bad.
Trade-offs.
we'll never
Yeah.
run out of paintbrushes.
it's been
That's a fair point. I'll
Those
take
shits
it.
are expensive.
Yes, they are.
Anybody else got any movies?
I saw Godzilla -1. Oh,
How was it?
I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I really want to
It's awesome.
So good.
Yeah,
I'm not a big kaiju fan. I watch shitloads of horror movies, and I don't have nothing against Godzilla. I never got into it like other people did, and people are just losing their fucking shit over this one. So I was like, maybe I'll check this one out.
I think it's like a good entry point
I mean,
if you don't care about that stuff, you know?
Shin Godzilla
Yeah.
was really fun too.
Yeah, I
so-
think I like Shin Godzilla a little better, but I was still very
Same.
excited.
Shin Masked Rider was good too, actually.
They stand on their
just
own really
saw-
well too.
Yeah. They're like an encapsulation of like the whole like franchise or whatever. I just watched Shin Ultraman, which was fucking crazy. Like I think
I didn't even realize that was a thing.
Yeah, it's all three of the guys.
Hell
they
yeah.
shinned them all. But yeah, I mean, it does feel like you're watching like a recap of a TV show because that is what you're doing. But that's fine. I don't know. Maybe it's good for Caroline.
That's part of why I like Masked Rider actually is because it was just like very
Exactly.
like choppy.
A movie.
What were
can
you about
pause.
to say, Lucas? In terms of movie?
Oh, I'm gonna get to be the letdown to this conversation about like good movies that people have watched. The last movie I saw was Funny Farm, which is
With Chevy Chase.
it's a Chevy Chase screwball comedy from the mid '80s. It's pretty much by the numbers Chevy
It's not
Chase
good.
screwball comedy from the mid '80s. If you've seen any other Chevy Chase movie from that era, you don't need to see this one.
Nope, it's
But
not
it's
good.
fine. It's fine for what it was. It's one of those
Okay.
movies I have to put it on a list that I watched it because I probably won't remember that I watched it.
Yeah.
I haven't
Well,
thought about it until you said it, and when I saw it when I was a kid. I'm sorry that was the last movie that you saw. It sucks.
I've been I'm a kind of one that's been like an aspiring movie watcher. I have lots of movies I want to see, yeah, jury's out of whether or not I'll get around to actually seeing them most of the time.
You know, and this kind of goes along with that, and I know I'll talk about it later as well. But what's kind of cool is, I mean, I grew up in the sticks, so we didn't have cable. I mentioned somebody, so we watched a lot of movies. Like that's all I did was watch movies and go to the video rental store and just movies. My wife had cable. She grew up in a neighborhood, so she names all this Nickelodeon stuff from the '80s and the '90s, and I'm like, I don't know, Terminator. You know what I mean? Like that's what I was. I didn't see any of those shows. But what's kind of cool is my daughter, who's 13, is also really into horror movies now, and also she comes with me to toy stores and we buy all the the collectible stuffs. And so going through and rewatching a lot of horror movies from even, we watched The Exorcist and the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I forget, like for me, that seems like, oh, that movie came out 30 years ago. I'm like, oh shit, it's like 50 years old. You know what I mean? Like, my God, that would be like when I was a kid watching something from, the 40s, like watching Fritz Lang, that kind of thing. But you'd be surprised how some of that stuff holds up. And
Yeah.
there was a couple scenes in The Exorcist that made her jump a little bit. Obviously, the crab walked down the stairs. She's like, where the hell did that come from? And I was just like, yeah.
When
the
I
whole
saw that,
movie's nonsense.
yeah, I saw that
Yeah.
around that age for like 2 days.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so it's kind of cool going through all these movies, with her and seeing how she kind of reacts to them. Obviously, she likes newer ones that come out, and that's understandable. But yeah, So I've seen Funny Farm. Yeah, I think a couple times actually.
I can say that it's a movie.
It's a movie,
It is in fact a movie. It
It's a
was
movie.
in fact made. It did have a director and a cast and a crew.
and it's
So-
not his worst.
It's not.
It's
I mean, it
not
wasn't
the
bad. Like I say, it wasn't bad. I would just say it's by the numbers, very workmanlike.
Yeah.
So,
That was. I mean, look, that's what made money in the '80s. 90
I mean,
minute
I just-
screwball comedy.
I just got visibly excited about seeing The Beekeeper, so there's no judgment.
I thought you were being sarcastic about that.
No, I am genuinely
Really?
excited to see that movie. It's going to
Big
be
statement,
a
man.
hot mess, and it's going to be so
Oh, yeah.
fun. I just like movies where things go boom and you don't have to think very hard, and Jason Statham is great.
Yeah, I've heard it's. A friend of mine saw it, and he said it's basically just John Wick with Jason Statham.
Not mad about this.
Oh
Yeah,
All
no,
people
I
wrong
love
with
that stuff.
Like,
Yeah,
that's
love
sort of
John
a
Wick.
winning formula right there. It's hard to miss.
Mhm.
Did you guys-
Yeah, I've heard.
When it's
I've
hard
heard
to get that
there.
big, it's really hard to miss.
I've heard there are a lot of bee-related puns too.
That's
It's like,
Yep,
I'd be upset if there
So-
wasn't. You know,
even so, it's down to the point where like he has. I don't know. We were talking about this. Like the main Jason Statham's name is. I think it's like Adam Clay. So it's another name of like name and then thing. You know what I mean? John Wick, Adam Clay. So it's like I don't know.
Adam Candle.
Yeah, Adam Candlestick.
You're right. Did you see the like John Wick for? Oh my god, I forget his name. Better Call Saul.
Oh, yeah. The one
Oh,
where
for
he,
nobody.
yeah,
Or,
Oh,
yeah.
I've seen
was
that.
fun.
I saw that.
It's like
that was okay.
it's not like an amazing movie. I just think it's really funny that he so clearly was like, "Make me John Wick." Like,
yeah, I'm a big Bob Odenkirk fan, so that was.
Well,
Yeah, it was, I had fun. I thought that movie was fun.
It was okay.
There was
Yeah, it
also
was-
that Nick Cage movie called Pig, where like
Mhm.
somebody,
Yeah.
where it really was like John Wick, but they killed a pig instead of a puppy, and then Nick
Yeah.
Cage just like murders everybody.
Oh, it's so cool. It's so
Nick Cage-
quiet too. Like it's
Yeah.
so calm, even though it's like intense. You know, it's. I
That was
love
a good
Nick
movie.
Cage.
I'll tell you a movie that I saw that I absolutely hated, but people loved. It was called Bliss.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah.
It's a what's the guy's name? Joe
Begos.
So he did a movie called Christmas Bloody Christmas, which the first half of it was almost unbearable to watch because it was the worst written dialogue by people who were supposed to be metalheads.
Mhm.
And it was really rough. But then the second half was a mechanical Santa Claus really, bifurcating people and killing them. So that was cool. So apparently this guy puts out a lot of movies that people are like, I don't know how I feel about it. So I was like, all right, let me check out this big one, Bliss, that he did. Noah, did you see it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
What did you think?
I think it's okay.
Yeah.
There's another movie I often compare it to, which is The Devil's Candy, which I do like.
Okay.
You ever seen The Devil's
I can see
Candy?
that comparison. Yeah.
Because it's about a painter who's also like a musician, and it's like super crazy. But like, if I always, when I was watching Bliss, I had seen The Devil's or other way around, I'm not sure, but I couldn't help compare the two and think Devil's Candy is better. You know?
There's something, especially like there's certain aspects of Bliss that I liked, right? And obviously I like the horror and gore aspect. The beginning of just the setup of who her character is, and then like a 5 to 10 minute hardcore sex scene for no reason whatsoever.
There's so much sex.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, this seems like a 12-year-old making a movie. Like, if I wanted to watch that, I can watch that somewhere else. Can we like get the movie going? And again, it was like, and then when he did this other movie, it was like instead of that, it was just really shitty dialogue. So I feel like every time I watch one of his movies, the first half of it, I wanna like, slit my throat, and then it's like, okay, I made it through. It's almost like you have to like pay to enjoy the rest of his movie. So so I'm glad someone has seen this movie because I don't know, I'm on the fence about it. I don't know if I like it or not.
Yeah, I mean, the technical stuff is pretty cool in it. Like, I like how they do the lighting. I like how they do, the effects, all that stuff. And I'm someone who's like painfully easily amused. So if that stuff is happening, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm enjoying it, But I will agree with you. There's like, I remember it because my wife and I watched it and we were like, there are just like too many sex scenes in this,
Yeah.
It's like, and
But
that's not
it
even,
doesn't
look.
go to the plot.
Look, one of my favorite movies is Caligula, and that doesn't bother me. But that's the point. And yeah, exactly. So again, I definitely agree with you with the unnecessary stuff in that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like to marinate on movies for way too long, and then switch my opinion, which really pisses off my wife sometimes. So that's okay. Yeah. So anyway.
Well, cool. I'm thinking maybe we'll do it a little differently than I've done in the past, where I'll pull up your work, and as you're kind of talking about your work, you can also talk about, things that are challenge you and what's new in your world. So it's kind of like all at one time, if that works, and it'll just be organic from there. So if that's cool, I'm gonna pull this up. So Noah, you're up first, and I'm gonna go ahead and give you those visuals. So
Sweet,
you just released these, Friday, and of course, this is going to be published a couple weeks after the fact. But yeah, really recent stuff.
Yeah, no. So I had kind of told you ahead of time. I'm like, I'm probably gonna wait till like the very last minute on the 11th because I know things are dropping soon, but I don't know when. And I wanted to keep it fresh, but yeah. Hold on. We'll start with the one on the right because that's the one I'm like. I mean, I'm stoked about both these, but we'll see if this works. Libertine Captor. So that's sorry. As I was discussing beforehand, I'm using this fancy mic and it has an echo button on it, so I'm gonna use it. Sorry,
it's pretty cool,
but
man. Yeah.
It's gonna happen. So yeah, no, that's for my good buds in the band Acetas, which is their band in Portland. I kind of got my start working with. I talked about this a little bit in our episode, Lee, but I kind of got my start working with metal bands because of them. We didn't know each other super well because we grew up sort of together. We were in kind of similar programs and stuff like that. But they had contacted me 2019, I think, to do the artwork for False Peace, which was their last album. And then basically ever since then, we've just kind of been constantly churning out artwork that has not seen the light of day for the last 3 years. Because they're people who just love to I think Gage Dean, who I work with directly, their guitarist, one of their guitarists. He's just I don't know. He just loves commissioning artwork, which it's very good to have those friends, as we know. It keeps us paying our bills and keeps us busy. So been doing a lot of stuff for Gage and Acetas. Sorry, I'm gonna say it wrong so many times. But this is Libertine Captor, which is the new single off their next album, Eden Trough, which has 7 pieces that I did for it. So we've been working on this since 2020, early 2022. But this is one of the more recent pieces because it's constantly been here we have a song for each track. Oh, but maybe we don't use that for a track. Maybe we use that for the back or just some inner artwork. So now we need another piece. And that's happened so many times with this. So that's why it ended up being we have around 7 pieces for it. But yeah, no, this is just I had so much fun with this. Gage was basically, oftentimes he'll tell me kind of loosely what he wants and I'll kind of interpret it. But this one, he was very much I want muzzled people with long proboscises. I want a big dude with lots of spikes. I want lots of horns. I want dragons flanked at his feet. I'm all right, I'm just giving you exactly what you want with this one. And he let me be really indulgent and homoerotic with it, which I love. And I don't often get to be super overt about, but that was super fun to do with this. So it's kind of just this sauna of I don't know, craziness and whatnot, but I'm excited. The song is really fucking cool that it's attached to, and I've been hearing these mixes for years now, and it's ugh, I just want these to see the light of day for their sake and mine. But it's going to be a really cool album cycle. I'm so excited to drop the next stuff with it. But for now, this'll suffice, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So yeah.
I also love the multiple pieces of artwork for an album cycle. I think it's I don't know, I've started to see people do that a little bit more, and it's really lovely to get kind of that, sort of little world get built out.
Yeah, I mean, I love seeing that where, because obviously, you buy in albums because you like to have the album, but then it's all of a sudden it becomes more of a collector's item too. And I've always liked that just as not just as an artist, but as a consumer. So, it encourages me to get more stuff when I know, there's all this cool stuff that comes with it and whatnot. So Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said about world building too, like that's the whole point is like this album cycle is very much, it's technically a narrative continuation visually from False Peace, which was their last album. It's like these big hands and you get sucked into the hands, and where all these like vignettes take place are where you got sucked into. So we've kind of been trying to set that up throughout their next couple releases. And I like that you bring up the whole world building thing, because that's very much like what I've been trying to go for with this.
Well, one of the things I think that's also so successful about these next to each other is you have this like very luminous kind of otherworldly light thing. Like it looks like you have like you know those filaments that you can sew into clothing, like light up LED filaments. It looks like those are like running along all of the figures that you have here, but in a way where it's like very conscious of the shapes of the forms that it's sitting on top of too. So you really get this like bizarre, glowing kind of fairy-like.
Yeah, first I thought,
but you know, terrifying.
I thought it was like lit from below, and then the longer you look at it, the more you're like, no, it's kind of like it is more glowing than that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, which I think really adds the feeling like not quite sort of like of this world, which I think is obviously very cool.
Thanks. I really appreciate that. It's kind of what I go for. It's like I think I kind of, the way I treat light and value, it's very much, everything ends up being kind of metallic in a way.
Yeah.
And you know so I've always been a fan of that look.
I feel like this looks like almost ceramic or something.
I was going to say like glass.
Yeah.
This feels like glass.
A really nice tile floor.
Yeah. Well, definitely, that's going to have a lot to do with when we talk about our influences, because it's going to be painfully obvious. But yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know. It's like, I've always kind of loved sort of like artificial looking thing. I don't know. I just love like glitz and glamour and kind of fake looking shit. So I'm glad that comes across. And, you know, with this second one on the left, that sort of ties into another influence, because this is for Realms of Death. They're a hardcore band out of San Antonio. And this was literally like Sam from their band, their singer. He was like, we want something that is Silent Hill. And I was like, easy. Yeah.
Oh, man, that's up your alley, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I was literally like, okay, cool. I am basically going to do a Masahiro Ito style concept piece, like concept art piece. And that's what we're going to get with this. So he kind of just let me fly with that. And the one on the left is digital, and the one on the right is traditional with like some digital, because there's always digital, some element. But yeah, so that's kind of where the influence comes from on the left one there.
It's funny that you made them differently too, because they look so visually consistent.
Yeah, I would never have guessed these are made differently.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. That's what I'm going for. I'm trying, at least. I never know if I'm getting that across, so it helps to hear that.
Yeah, I also I love a dingy tile.
Yes. I would pivot my computer. I have a promotional wall scroll from Silent Hill 3 from like 2004 or 2000, whenever that came out. But all this setup here is, yeah. I mean, and there's so much gross tile. So yes,
I'm such a huge fan of your artwork. One, because your process is like wild, and I love watching your process videos of you doing it. And I'm a huge, straight-laced of a person as I am. I'm a huge fan of subversive comic books. And that's something I always like about your art, is that even obviously the one on the right is, is right there. But even like the one on the left, there's something, every time I see your art, there's always something odd about it, and I mean that in a good way. And there's just always something that seems a little off, like it shouldn't be there. And it's unsettling, which is what I like. And so I always love that about your art from the conception of it. It's probably because you play way too much Silent Hill and Resident Evil.
I am on my 10th playthrough of Resident Evil 4 remake.
And that's what makes you insane. Yeah, I know. Every time I see Noah post, I'm going my 12th playthrough. I'm doing it. Damn, dude.
I just got the cat ears.
I get it. No, but I love your work. You know, I love your work. And this stuff is just really awesome. And you know, I never thought about that until Alex and Caroline said it. It really does kind of look like a glass piece. You know what I mean? Like someone crafted this figure out of glass, and you just kind of like painted this piece in front of you. I never really thought about that. It really does look like that now. It's really cool.
Well, I really appreciate that because, you know, Jerry, I'm a huge fan of your work too. So
I
know you're not going to take it well, but I am. So it is really cool. I mean, I'm a fan of all of y'all's work, and, you know, I'm sure I'll express that a billion times during this, but so it's really cool to be here and talk to all of you and hear that, because, you know, I'm always being like, because, you know, especially like, you know, with just the way, I don't know, I'm never really able to tell, because I live in Sylvania, Georgia, which is, you know, not really close to a lot of things. So I don't really talk to anybody besides my wife and occasionally people when we go into Statesboro, which is a half hour away. So, or sometimes Savannah when we, you know, feel like going the distance, but, which it's not that far, but it's far enough. You know what I mean? So I do sometimes live in a vacuum. So not being able to like speak to a lot of people, like, you know, actually being able to voice to each other like this, it can be kind of hard to tell like how it comes across. You know, I get Instagram comments and DMs, but it's kind of hard to just have a conversation about it and hear that. So it's really cool to hear all of you guys like to be able to talk to all of y'all and kind of hear that feedback. Cause again, I never really know how it comes across. I just do things how I do them. And I think that's how we all are, you know? Yeah. So yeah, no, it's not like I try to do a certain thing. It's just, that's how I do light and that's how I do. So I'm glad that I can hear that from y'all. I really appreciate it.
I don't think many of
Lee, could you put it back? Could you put the piece back up?
Yeah.
Because I didn't say anything yet.
Oh no, yeah, I'll put it.
Skipping me.
What I'm going to be doing.
You're skipping the art teacher. Why are you skipping the art teacher?
That's not what I'm doing.
Put it back up.
So I'm going to be going between the slide deck and back because with the amount of people, if you're watching it, you're not going to be able to see people like talking. So I'm going to go back and forth. But yes, you can request it going back up. So yes, go ahead.
Put it back up. So Noah, what I wanted to say was, and I know I saw you recently posted something about catching heat from people for doing your pieces on a black background. But I wanted to say like, the way whenever you have a image that emerges from that kind of, for me it's like a really, you know, rich solid black. Like the way you have your images emerging from that black, to me, like the way you control light, I didn't read them as glass or metal or anything. I just was I'm really kind of taken by how they're simultaneously really sumptuous looking, right? Like really, really texturally interesting, but they're also really phantasmal. Just because of the way they're coming out of that black, and it's not just the light that you use, it's like how those like middle values where it's almost fading back into the black that are really interesting to me. So I would say like don't lose that, and like don't fucking listen to people who are like, you know, you should do something different. Like there's so much you can do with just this one method. Like keep exploring it. You know?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Don't fucking listen to haters.
Yeah. To Lucas's point, you're actually like using the black.
Yeah, the black is like an important part of the image.
Yeah.
For like, I think there is a point at which some people are like, oh, like, you know, using a flat background as a crutch or something like that. But no, you're actually like using the black here to create this kind of like otherworldly, creepy space where like something is coming at you, and then there's this like implied other shit lurking in the stuff that you can't see.
And there are like
painters
nice who, you know, like Courbet, who famously always worked from a black ground for his oil paintings. You know,
you know who else did that?
It's also totally like a way people build an image up too. Make sure you
Bob
get those
Ross.
really deep contrast. Yeah,
Bob Ross also worked with black gesso as well. No, but like to Lucas's point, like, you know, using a different ground, there's lots of precedent for that.
Yeah, you know, cool. the backgrounds in the Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah,
just as important as Courbet and Ross.
Oh yeah,
exactly. No, I totally yeah. I follow an
appreciate
account that literally just posts backgrounds from Batman animated series.
Yeah.
Oh, I follow that
Oh,
too.
that's
It's
fun.
awesome. Or no, I'm following Looney Tunes backgrounds.
Also,
I also follow Looney Tunes backgrounds.
Maurice
That's
Noble,
also
man.
a really great one.
A constant inspiration.
I gotta follow the Batman one, I guess.
This
Sweet.
is going to be local talk for a second, but Alex, do you know Mike Manley, who did a lot of the drawings for and the animation for Batman the Animated Series? He lives in Delco.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he lives
Delco
right
Rise
outside.
Up.
What a name, also.
What's that, Mike? Yeah, Mike Manley. Yeah,
Manly.
he's a really nice guy. Yeah. Sorry, we'll go back. Sorry, no.
Nah,
All good.
you're good. Yeah, thank you, Lucas. That's awesome. And I know that you are also like being an art educator. That's cool to hear. Because hey, my teachers, haven't spoken to them in a long time, so I have no idea what they'd be saying about my art. So hey, good thing we have a teacher who is saying it's good.
I mean,
Send
if your
all of
teachers,
this to-
yeah, if your teachers were anything like mine, they were all individuals who were saying all conflicting things. So
Oh yeah, no. So you just do what you can. I just want to pull it up real quick.
I always tell my students like that's part of being a student. We're gonna tell you things that someone else is gonna tell you the complete opposite. It's kind of
Yeah.
up to you to take what helps you move forward. You know what I mean, and not listen to the advice that isn't helping you. Move forward with your work.
yeah,
Oh,
learning
yeah.
how to parse what's useful to you is just as important. Oh
I
shit,
brought
that's
the
awesome.
original right here.
Oh, that's very
so
nice. Very cool.
Here it
Too.
is. It comes off a little dusty, obviously, on the camera because I just have a ring light. But yeah, no.
No, it's cool.
No, but it gives you a little bit of
stuff.
that sort of like velvety texture to it
Oh,
too.
shit.
it does.
Yeah, in the gold.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the most
That's nice.
impossible thing to photograph in the
Oh, yeah.
world.
A big
And
difference.
honestly, I know we were talking like sometime we were going to talk about like some kind of struggles we have with it, but I've kind of learned to turn the like issues I run into with like scanning and photographing into just part of it. Like sometimes that gold, it can get blown out, but if I just like roll with how it photographs, sometimes I'm able to kind of take what you see in the traditional piece into a different like level with what it is digitally. Cause I used to be kind of like, oh, I don't want to do any digital edits to any of my stuff. Like, I mean, I know you kind of have to a degree, especially after you get it scanned in, but it's like, I think I kind of fell back on that a little too often. I wanted to be so convincing that it was like this fully, you want to see all the only traditional elements, but I'm not a purist. So like, I've kind of always thought, well, even if I just add that like 10-20% of digital stuff, like sometimes I think I go a little too far, don't get me wrong, but there's definitely pieces I can look back on and say I've done that. But I think I've kind of learned over time, like honing that is really important and to not shy away from it either.
I like the like element of chaos. Anytime it shows up, it's like, I mean, I'm a collage artist, so it's easier for me, but
Yeah.
like, letting go a little bit sometimes is really nice, and you end up somewhere that's better than at least what I had planned.
Yeah, no. Well, and the cool thing is too, just like with how I do the process, where like, I draw it and then I do the mono print where it looks like kind of nothing for a while. Like that is all right. You lose it then, and then you photograph it and say like the glare gets blown out or what. I mean, I photograph it as well as I can, but sometimes editing everything, then you kind of lose it again, and then you kind of regain it. So it kind of builds every time. I never know if it really comes off the way I want it to, but I think by the end, I'm usually happy with it. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know we all have that. I know, and I've listened to most of your interviews. I haven't gotten to yours yet, Alex, but because it just came out the other day. But I know y'all have kind of went on that like losing the losing it element for a little bit there, where at some point in it you kind of like to go with that interpretive stuff, and yeah, couldn't be more true. That's where the magic happens.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Noah, I know we've talked about this before, kind of digitally. I know sometimes, you get a little self-conscious about how you do your art. I'm telling you again, man, you don't have to. Anything that you do that makes the piece look how it's supposed to look in your head, who cares? You know what I mean? Who gives a shit? All right,
Yeah.
you use the black background. Whatever. Is your client happy? Does it look good? Is it who gives a shit?
That's all that matters at the end of the day, you know. And it's like when I kind of started pivoting to digital, you know, that Realms of Death piece is digital, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to achieve that same effect. But I think at the end of the day, you need to not really be as afraid of that. I'm saying this to myself, but like not being as afraid. Yeah, you know what I mean, though, because like not being as afraid of that, just because like no matter what, it is gonna look like you did it. So
Yeah,
because I don't think I don't think anyone really has control over how, in the end, like I don't know. I mean, how do I say this? How you distinguish your visual language.
The hand.
Yeah.
There are some people
what I mean?
who, like, I think have a lot of control over what element of their hand shows up in their work. But I also find that a lot of the people who have that level of control often end up just looking like nobody.
It's too slick, right? It's too slick.
Yeah. Well, it's
Like
visual
that,
language.
It's a negotiation. You're making a deal with the universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I like that. That's a cool way to put it.
You might get what you want. You might not, but that's what you're doing.
Cool. Yeah, I really like that concept.
And I'm just the guy that figured out how to paint. I don't know much about the art world as a science like you guys do.
It's
But
science, don't worry.
Well, I respect
the science is that your parents should have money.
That's about the only scientific fact. Yes, you should be independently wealthy.
Or your wife, works as a corporate accountant. But what I remember, like hyper realistic portrait work with like pencil and stuff like that. You see it and you're like, man, it looks like it's a photo. And I remember hearing some criticisms like, that's really talented, but like, who gives a shit? Like if I wanted a drawing that, I can't tell if it's a drawing or a photo, I'll just take the photo. Why did you spend your time? Where are you in that art? Where is the actual, artistry to it? Not that it's not talented. Right. And I think that's the same kind of thing. Yeah. Nothing's going to be perfect. Nothing ever is going to look exactly how you want it to look. You want it to, but it's not going to, and you just figure it out. And like I said, as long as your clients are happy and people are calling you up and offering you money, I mean, it's kind of my goal. So yeah, you're doing all right, brother.
Appreciate it. Doing all right. I do. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Anything else? I'm going to pull up more of your work, Noah. But anything else that you wanted to kind of talk with the group about?
I mean, I want to keep it going. I don't want to dwell too much, so everyone has time. So I think we've secured the bag.
Cool. All right, let me pull back up. Can you turn mic down just a hair for me?
Oh, Noah? Mine.
It just depends on what distance you're.
I got really close to it. Yeah,
it's all good.
I'll try not to do that.
No, not a big deal. All right, cool. So then these other two pieces.
That's my favorite.
The bacon one.
Yeah. I saw that you commented that about with the process.
There's like two Francis Bacon pieces that this reminds me of. One of them is like the Screaming Pope, and then the other one, there's this, and it's not. The last time I went, I think it lives at the Met. Normally, it wasn't up, but it's this like weird disembodied like meathead thing with no eyes and just like an open screaming mouth. I don't know.
Sounds like bacon.
It's like but it's like very dark. It's all on like a very black background. It's one of my favorite bacons, and like especially sort of like that chalky texture from your mono printing.
There's a really cool one.
Me of that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. There's a really cool one, and I know Lucas, you might know this because there's one at the DIA that's really you had mentioned, because you're from the Detroit area originally, right, Lucas?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. Yeah. So that's where my wife's from.
Okay.
And
cool.
Yeah. So when I would, when we would kind of go back and forth and go to the Detroit area, there's one at the DIA. I can't remember. I took a picture of it ages ago. That's kind of like that one as well. Yeah.
I don't know if you can. This is a terrible way of doing it, but this is the one at the Met that I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Weird.
That's awesome.
It's just called Head.
Keep pull back up.
Just that's a good one. He's definitely one of those artists where it's like to have that much control over losing control with what you're making it's beyond me. It's, I don't know. But yeah, he's cool. Huge influence. I always loved his crucifixions. He has like a triptych of crucifixions that are really cool. Yeah, more screaming meat blobs.
Yeah, exactly. No, what's the one on the left for? Because also the rainbow, it's just so weirdly joyful.
So it's not for anything.
Oh hell yeah!
It's not for anything. I actually included this originally because I wanted to include 3 pieces, so that's why. But the Realms of Death one literally dropped on Friday, so I was like, "Wait, come on, get this in there too." But yeah, no, I always like to, if I have time around the end of the year, make because I always like seeing everyone's end of the year album lists. And but I always like to kind of try and do a tribute piece to my favorite album of the year. So this is a tribute to Siege Obsessed by Curtain Wall. I don't know if y'all have checked out Siege Obsessed by Curtain Wall. Yes, Lucas.
I know Lucas likes it a lot too. Yeah.
We talked about it because I mean, Abysmal Spectre, who has all those projects and runs Grindstone Records, I talk about someone who I don't understand how he puts out the amount of work he does, but it's simultaneously the stupidest album of the year, and it's also the best album of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah. High praise.
It's about embracing the dumb shit, and it's but at the same time, I do feel even though it is kind of silly, the way he treats it is he takes it very seriously, so it doesn't feel disingenuous at all. And
it very leans into this sort of medievalism.
Yeah.
I just find it. I honestly just like to Caroline's point about your piece. I just find that album really joyful, and I just just puts a smile on my face when I listen to it.
Yeah, and that's kind of what made me. That's what ended up making it my album of the year. By the end of the year, it was I was really hung up on the new Horrendous album was probably all right, that's got to be my favorite because it's really so good. Yeah. But then it was this album simply brings me too much joy, and I never get tired of it. So Curtain Wall, because I've done a couple in the past. I did a few tribute pieces to the Andrew WK album that came out a couple years ago that I just loved. And then there were some years where it's the year Alphaville came out, I had literally released a tour poster for Imperial Triumphant at the same time. So I was like, well, I'm not going to make another tribute piece because I don't have the time. And here, just take this as that. So, but yeah, no, that's just a tribute because I don't know. That was me just indulging in we actually were supposed to go to Michigan, and then our plans got canceled last minute for the holidays. So it's well, I wound up with this extra time. So, yeah, no, it's such a fun album. You really, check out anything Abysmal Spectre puts out. He's Curtain Wall. He's also Old Nick, which is an amazing, super, again, it's super kind of campy black metal, but it's so joyful. And it's so stupidly catchy at the same time. Old Nick has 20 albums, and they started in 2020.
There's a little bit of 8-bit influence with Old Nick, whereas with Curtain Wall, it's just it's got more of that kind of medieval instrumentation.
Yeah.
And then intentionally MIDI sounding drums and stuff,
Oh yeah. His synth is just he always has this really catchy synth element to it that's it's dumb, but it is but it's so not dumb because I'm so into it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What anyway. I like about this one, I just want to say this really quick, and this is really, really dumb, is this reminds me back when I was a kid, adolescent, going to the farmer's market and getting those T-shirts that would have wizards on them, really, really lame. And that's what it reminds me of. And I remember when you released this piece, and look, I don't know Curtain Wall. I know everyone talks about it. I haven't fucking heard it. I'm sorry.
Do they?
What's up?
Do they talk about it? I haven't heard a lot of talk about it.
It's been just me and a couple of other people.
I remember seeing this, and it brought me a lot of joy because it brought me back to getting wizard T-shirts and shit like that, going to a farmer's market, and I could see something like this just being on a shirt. And
airbrush it,
yeah.
Well,
the airbrush art, yeah.
This one on the right too. There are a lot of forms in the sort of I don't even know. Like, it's the sort of weird Art Nouveau filigree kind of stuff that you've got going on there on the right. Straight up, one of the photos that I sent for one of my like quote unquote unexpected sources of inspiration is just kind of looks like this. So catnip.
Yeah, I mean the Nouveau stuff's huge influence on that thing. That's just the title. Like, this was again kind of a filler one because I wasn't sure if Realms of Death was going to be dropping or not. I had no idea when that was dropping, so the fact they put it out, it was like last minute. But yeah, this is just the title. This is, I don't want to say just, but it's the title graphic for Eden Trough, Asadas' next album that Libertine Captor is on. So this was like a teaser we put out, and I don't know. We're still working on the layout for it, so I don't even know where this is going. I don't even think it's going on the front cover, but no, it's just a fun. I don't often. Well, thank you. I don't often like. I only get a few logo commissions every once in a while. It's just not really my main thing, but I do love doing it. So I wanted to kind of throw that in there and, do that. And then, it's mainly just to show the title. That Helix thing is ripped from one of the pieces on the album and their logo is slapped over it.
Yeah, the Helix thing totally gives you like Rosalind Franklin X-ray crystallography vibes.
Yeah. Sweet, yeah.
That's for the science nerds, Alex.
Yeah.
Who's the biggest nerd on the call now?
Right, I forgot there are different kinds of nerds.
Yeah, lots of flavors.
Don't forget I majored in biology.
Oh, I was actually about to say, like, Lucas has some like hardcore like medical biology.
Even bigger
deep
nerd.
knowledge.
I'm gonna actually when we get to mine, I'm gonna nerd out a lot about biology. So
hell yes.
Sick.
I'm very excited.
Sweet. Anybody else got any comments on these?
Just real quick, like that logo of theirs is so wild. Like the fact that you were able to like work with it and have it look kind of so cohesive is very impressive to me.
With the logo, their band logo,
their actual band logo is.
I made that too. So
yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense then.
Yeah,
it's such like a nice balanced image for so much chaos,
Yeah.
Yeah, I do love me some chaos every now and then. Only sparsely.
I think Noah, to Jerry's point, I think I want that curtain wall guy on a shirt. Like I think I want to wear it.
You know what? I'll email.
But I don't want it to say curtain wall. I just want it like that.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean,
I'll email
either way.
I'll hit up the Grindstone email. They have it on their Bandcamp. I'll say, hey, do you want this? Are you interested?
Yeah, it's got total airbrush vibes. Awesome.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I love airbrush stuff too. It's like that. Who's the artist who did the Jesus piece artwork last time?
Lazy Dog.
Oh my god, yeah, so fucking cool.
He's a French artist.
Yeah. But yeah, because if you've seen the original cover of this album, it's
Lazy God. I'm sorry, not Lazy Dog. Sorry.
Because as you would know, Lucas, the original cover of Siege Obsessed is. I'm not going to knock it, but the cover is not really the focus of the album.
Honestly, though, the funny thing is the cover is what drew me into it. It's like, oh, this is unapologetic. Like this is completely unapologetic. So it's totally. I got to find out what this is.
Yeah, it is. No, and I appreciate that he's just like, fuck it, I will do whatever I want and I don't care. Yeah, you can kind of see it. It's literally just to.
Yeah, I will do.
Oh my god. Oh, okay. I know what this is now.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Right? People keep posting it. And I thought it was a joke.
What's funny because Curtain Wall has popped. Well, Curtain Wall has like popped off. I feel like more than Old Nick, and Old Nick is like his main project. So, and I think I prefer Old Nick, but I love Curtain Wall. So, anyway, yeah, it's about all I have to say. So, I've talked enough.
All good. Alex, you're up.
Ooh. There's some new stuff. The one on the left is actually still in progress a little bit. It's for a gallery thing I got. I actually have to get this done like this week now that I think about it. So you could really help me out if you have advice. And I'm doing this sort of sneaky thing that maybe I shouldn't admit to. You can tell me if I need to not tell people this anymore. But an art director told me that they liked the work that I was doing that looked a little bit like this. And that if I made more of them, basically like she would try and find me some work. So I'm using this as an excuse to like make a portfolio piece also, I guess.
No, hell yeah, that's what that should be.
Okay. But I'm also like,
yeah.
I do enjoy working in this way. It's like a little bit of a departure from my usual stuff. At the stage it's at right now, you kind of have to use your imagination because it isn't cut yet. But they, so like all these layers will eventually be like descending in space, and the silhouette will actually be like cut out of that sky. The like interior silhouette.
Okay.
And then the one on the right is like just sort of more of me doing my thing I've been doing.
That one came out really awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thanks.
Super sweet.
I appreciate that. That one was I thought it was done for a long time before I added that like meat silhouette. And now it's like funny to me it's like it's night and day. Like it's so much better with that in there.
Meat silhouette.
Yeah. A common phrase.
That's such a good phrase.
Yeah, so I think the reason I brought these specifically is it's a couple somewhat new directions I'm thinking of trying to head this year. I was really happy with the one on the right, and I want to try and do more like it.
It's funny because the one on the right also just like it feels like you're taking, because you had like the big machine piles that you were working with, and it sort of feels like you've pulled in some of the elements from some of your like meat anxiety work is what I'm going to call it. And they've kind of naturally merged with one another in a way that I think is really like rewarding and interesting.
That's good to hear, because I was like, did I just did I just put a meat figure in the center of this and pretend that they make sense together, you know?
I mean, what are we but meat machines?
But it also demands that you like keep looking at it. You know what I mean? And that's like one of my favorite things about your stuff, Alex, is like, I don't know, you because you always have these like descending shapes and things like that in these descending forms, you never really get there's such a process to how you view your work, and that's what I really like about it. And it's almost like one of my favorite things just in general, like creatively, is almost like stage production sets and facades.
Yeah. Yep.
And what I love about your stuff is like it always feels like I'm looking at like facades going into the back of a stage or something like that, and that always scratches an itch for me. So that's what initially drew me to your work in the first place.
Oh wow! Well, thanks. That's like really nice to hear.
I also, because I hadn't seen it at this scale yet, I just kind of saw it on my phone. One thing I didn't realize is that like the innermost layer inside of the meat silhouette, just going to keep saying that phrase, has this like little, it's like a water wheel looking guy in there, and it like mirrors the wheel structure on the sort of lower right as well. So you get a lot of this like nice little visual symmetry, echo kind of stuff going on. With the one on the left too, though, there's this like, the way that you have the, it looks like the dress is just like disintegrating, and that she's like sort of kind of seams, and then I dig.
Thanks, bud. That's
You're welcome,
I'm super stoked to hear you mention the like bottom layer of the one on the right, because like I kind of had decided that was probably just for me. And this is like you were saying, Noah, like I don't often talk to my friends even about like my art on this level. Like usually it's kind of like, hey, I know we're all busy. Does this look done? I think that's literally the question I asked you, Caroline.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really cool to hear that thing I spent a lot of time thinking about and like sweating over actually is coming across to someone. Yeah, it's weird. Now looking at these now, I'm like, what is there even to say about it? Get them out of here.
You know.
Yeah, shocking, I'm sure. Yeah, the thing I'm worrying about with the one on the left is just it's kind of hard to judge right now just because it isn't cut yet, but I just want to make sure it feels balanced. The fact that you're getting the sense that she's kind of like evaporating is it's a relief, because that was for sure.
Yeah, it's like I can't remember what there's some cartoon thing that I'm trying to think of where somebody just sort of like sighs and disintegrates into like a pile of leaves or like flower petals or some shit. Like, and I'm sure I'll think of it later, but it kind of has that sort of like the discorporate, I don't know what word you would want to. It's like discorporating,
Sure.
but like, yeah, I don't know. There's like a magic and a sadness to it at the same time.
I was really worried that there wouldn't, like, because it's a sunset, you know. Like, there's a part of me that's worried that I'm getting.
No,
like,
it's a sneaky bummer.
Yeah,
I like that it's a sneaky bummer.
Yeah, cool. Thank you, Carolyn. You can just keep describing my work to me. This is great.
I decided to wear one. Yeah.
Oh shit!
I just decided to make you feel real uncomfortable for this whole thing.
Cool. I hadn't noticed, but I'll be sure to feel bad from now on.
Oh, here you go, Alex. I got one of yours right here too.
Uh-oh.
Here you go. There you go.
Oh shit!
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Faculties.
Yep.
Thank you both. I have very little. I'm sitting on the floor of my tiny apartment. I don't know if you noticed. This is a couch behind me, so I have very little to show anyone.
It's a good couch, though.
Thanks. I am a fan of all of your work. I hope that it's understood. Yeah, I don't know. Unless there's something that is jumping out that you guys like advice for the left one, I would be cool with moving on to the other stuff.
I just love I don't have anything too much to say about the left. I think it's like working so far. Interested to see what else you're gonna like do with it to complete it. But I'm just the one on the right. I just keep looking at because I love that sort of diachromatic color scheme. The way it like goes with it's interacting with all those textures and then that sense of depth. I don't know. I just keep staring at it. It's very, very engaging.
Thank you. Thanks.
You're kind of playing off of what Lucas is saying. One thing I love about your art, Alex, and I've been a fan of it for a while, has really been your use of certain colors. And I know a lot of your pieces, you use a lot of yellow ochre, and I'm a big fan of that. And like the way that red really sticks out with the gray, and because it's so layered and you see the shadows kind of taking over, making it deeper. I think it's just really badass, and I'm a really big fan of things that are cool. And that's what I like about a lot of your collage stuff is it really has. I know I'm making you feel uncomfortable about it, but you know what also kind of shocks me? So much of your work looks like a cover, like a paperback cover of a sci-fi novel, and it upsets me that they don't hire you more because there's some real shitty stuff out there. You know what I mean? Well, and it's like, this one looks so much better.
That's actively the art director I'm trying to woo is like they do,
sci-fi.
And I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
Because a lot of it is ass. You know what I mean? So,
I'll be sure to tell her that you said that.
Please do. Yeah. I'm sure my name.
I feel like I want to pile on. I know, Alex. I told you this like a couple of weeks ago in like a DM, but I'll say it publicly. I've been making my students look at your work for years. So, yeah. When I started to make my list of like artists and illustrators you should be looking at, I think you were in the very first iteration of that list, like 4 years ago or something.
Yeah. What do I?
You're making him beautifully uncomfortable.
No, it's so nice. Like that's a really, really nice thing to say, man. Thank you.
Everybody has their turn in terms of the uncomfort. So no one's immune from it.
Right.
No, it's awesome work. Anything in particular that you wanted to talk about that's related to art, but not to these specific pieces, Alex?
I mean, it is actually related to these a little bit in that I'm kind of trying to gently nudge my work in a new direction, and that's always kind of challenging. This last year, a lot of my work, like I'm working with bands always, but I'm doing a lot more like comic covers and
nice.
Which it's great. I really like that work, but it feels weird. It feels like I haven't been doing the thing that I'm known for or whatever. Especially since a lot of those don't wind up getting cut at all. It's just sort of like a flat image. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm struggling a little bit to like trust myself. Because I think it's easy to be like, oh, it's different, and I think maybe that means it's worse, or like the response is like a whole new. I'm kind of appealing to a whole new group of people, and just trying to like remind myself that I do this for reasons outside of like Instagram or whatever. Which I know I'm sure we all deal with that shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But it's just this weird transitional period. It's very easy. This will not surprise those of you that know me, for me to lose to question every decision I've made. Like as soon as something doesn't feel like it's as easy to get done, I'm like, well, why am I doing this? Like maybe I should just do the thing to play the hits or whatever. So if nothing else, I'm saying out loud to you guys that I'm trying to not do that, so you can hold me accountable if you see me fucking up.
I will put you in a headlock.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
You fucking noogie.
Yeah. Actually, last time we talked, Lee, you specifically were like, you should follow this line of work, which was again, one of those kismet moments where I'm like, oh shit, that's cool to hear unprompted. This is the sort of thing I'm trying to do more of. And yeah, I'm just whatever. I'm always afraid that I'm heading in the wrong direction. But I'm really enjoying the work I'm doing, which I think is important on some level, right? Isn't that what that's the reason we do this shit?
Should be fun.
Yeah, certainly not the money.
I say that now, but
yeah, there's always a part that's not fun at all. I think the other piece that I sent you was specifically is comic book cover stuff. So it's not. Yeah,
I love this one so much.
What was this for?
This was for this book called Cemetery Kids Don't Die, which is an Oni book that's coming out February 7th. The first issue comes out.
Definitely. Is this going to be variant or is this the official cover?
No, it's a variant. Yeah.
Okay.
Which those are among my favorite things to do because they'll let me do something as crazy as this. Yeah. It doesn't have to represent the book.
Oh, that's so cool.
I love how there are just way too many teeth, and all of the barnacles, and there's a zipper for reasons.
It's actually not a zipper. I know it looks like it. It's the texture on
it's the little
I know what you mean. It's it's part of a tentacle, I think, but it really looks he's
now that you say that it's part of a tentacle, I can see that, but when you scan it, it sort of seems like you have tentacles, and then a zipper is opening up, and there are more tentacles.
Oh, I got some more.
Secret pouch of more tentacles. There's this horrible meme that I have sent a million times but it's if your jaw's open wide and there's more jaws inside, that's a moray eel. But this is giving me
I'm a dad, so dad jokes hit me. Sorry.
No, you're good. I have a terrible groaner sense of humor.
Also very proud of his big dumper. I made sure to give him giant.
He's got cake for sure.
He's been deadlifting.
Shows the detail of it.
He's dumb thick, as they would say.
I think he's
I would like to again point out the eyeball.
Yes, it looks like a fried egg.
You're using the yellow that I love so much.
But it pops because you are too, because it doesn't really show up most other places. Your sense of color makes me mad, honestly. We've talked about this.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It makes me mad.
Okay.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Thanks. I feel like this is a funny one to follow up Noah's because it's another thing on a black background, but it's just this horrible wet pile instead of a luxurious
Some of it's crunchy. It's wet and crunchy.
There's a lot of textures going on here. Yeah,
licheny.
A fair point.
I don't know. Alex with the Rick, I always I can feel it with my brain. I always want to honestly touch, what it looks like is there. Want to
just poke stuff.
Dig my fingers into it. Yeah, it just looks so.
It's a
texturally compelling.
Dude,
Love
this
it.
would look so cool as a pop-up book. This particular piece.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Alex,
the little components.
I've wanted to do that for
Alex,
so long.
pop-up book.
I know.
It's
just not something I can do on my own.
One of those books where you have the tabs and you pull the tabs and then it changes the pictures. Please.
I mean, sure. I'd love to. Find me a publisher.
Okay.
That's not your job.
Sure. I am your agent now, so.
Yeah, it seems that way, honestly. And anyway, I'll just email this conversation to every art director I've ever known or seen, and that should solve all my problems. Yeah, this is the stuff that I think lately, because there's no element of this that can be cut. like I could figure out a way to layer it, I guess, but it's not made with that in mind.
Yeah.
Like I just want to make little guys.
Little barnacle pile.
Yeah, little barnacle pile.
The only thing
got anything on this boy?
Yeah, I want to pop the barnacles. I get lost on TikTok with those people that get the barnacles off the crabs that they find.
Oh yeah.
And you watch a couple of those videos, and man, it is so satisfying. Me and my daughter will watch like an hour of them, and that's all I want to do to this guy is just get out a needle nose plier and just pop those suckers out. They're an invasive species. It's okay to do so.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Barnacles are like disgusting. They're like a really
they are
horrible
gross
thing.
as shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time looking at them.
I'm sure. Yeah.
They're awesome.
I think it's awesome though.
I
It's
love
really
them.
cool.
I had a necklace of barnacles that I lost, and that was a really big bummer.
Whoa.
Well,
I know. It's fine. Just accept.
I think we're like passing around like the nerd trophy, and that comment just got you the trophy for a moment. Barnacle necklace.
Caroline's
It
going
was
to be.
really
I don't know. All right, Caroline, you're up.
Oh God, I'm interested to see what you pulled also, because I know
Well,
that I
I
sent.
pulled what you sent me.
Okay, because I sent you one that was in progress.
That's what I have here.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, so this is a weird one because it's very much in progress. It's tiny also. And it's like it's gonna be part of a larger thing that I can't really talk about yet, but I also have it's hanging out right here. So it's hard to see.
Nice.
But it's been a while since I painted fucking anything. And I have like a larger project, and as part of it, wanted to do some studies that could also be functional, to try and like problem solve. Yeah, so this is like the current state, basically. And so it's like, okay, I know that I want to have some of these different elements in here, so I'm going to try and figure out how the fuck to paint them. Also, gouache is mean, so there's like a little re-entry point with it always. And yeah, I don't know, like the image is like I found a decapitated pigeon head on my way to the studio one day and took some pictures of it, and so but yeah, I mean, like just kind of taking the time to like learn textures, and paintings are weird because I feel like they go through this like shitty, like ugly teenage phase where it's like the preteen shit where you're like, no one, like you look back at photos of yourself in middle school and like everybody looks just fucking terrible. Like you, like no one, like you, just weird, awkward. And like I feel like paintings always have this moment where just like everything looks like garbage. They'll have these like beautiful little early moments where you're like, oh my gosh, this is so loose and fun and I love painting. And then like 70% of the process is being like, this sucks.
Dude, I'm right there with you right now with some of the stuff I'm working on. Speaking of my soul.
Yeah. But yeah, so this is going to be part of a larger thing that I can't really talk about, but I got permission to show this one.
So is it all gouache? And then you had the physical up there. What type of paper are you working on?
So this is all gouache. This is on it's just like a watercolor block.
That's what
this
it
is
looks
a
like.
brand of watercolor block that I picked up on a whim just to like try it out. I like the hot press paper because I don't like the little nubblies of regular watercolor paper. I like a smooth surface.
You can kind of do more mixed media with it too.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is I don't love this paper, honestly. I did my like holiday card drawing on it this year. But it doesn't take pen and ink quite the way that I wanted it to. So I figured I would just use this one for also like an all gouache little guy. So
I could talk about watercolor paper all day.
Yeah. I'm normally like an Arches hot press gal just because that's just because what I was told to get for certain classes in college. And so then I just kind of like stuck with it. But this is some other, like, it's fluid hot press finish.
Is it 140 pound or 300?
Yeah, this is 140 pound, like 300 grams per square inch hot press finish. I don't know. I prefer the arches if I'm going to work cross media, which I actually will be working for the other part of this. So, so it's good to know that this one doesn't take pen and ink so well. But I think also the pen portion of that is probably a function of the fact that I use tiny sharp guys and not like felt tips.
I really love how like that area on the right there, right next to the beak, how that's turning out with like how the textures are going into like the stones or the gravel or what you got going there. Yeah, no, I don't know. I always just love areas like that where it's like kind of interpreting texture and whatnot.
Thanks. Yeah, I gave myself the really stupid task of painting asphalt. It turns out like a lot of shit goes into asphalt. I'm like, cool, good job, Caroline. You're not going to regret that choice. Not at all.
Every color possible on top to make it easier for yourself.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, and let me put like some iridescent oil slicks on top of it. Right. That'll totally make shit.
Actually, I do really.
Yeah, I was going to say actually the iridescent oil slick side of this is like easier than just the straight asphalt.
Oh yeah, okay. This has that thing that your work often has that I love, which is like a pretty disgusting subject matter that just is so like nice and like beautifully done with like really nice colors, and like that combo is kind of the thing that I think of as defining your work.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, I also just from like a technical point, like the edges, especially like on the beak, as you pointed out, are just like so satisfying. Seeing the little like scribbliness and like the color changing, like as it's like you're outlining that. I love that shit.
And that like that brightest portion is right on the edge of the beak right there.
Yeah.
The way it like, almost comes off the page. It's like it really tricks the eye with that we're almost, I don't know, that it almost looks like you've it almost looks like an edit somehow like digitally, but it's not. Which of course I love, I mean that as a compliment. It's
I can't do things digitally for shit. So I don't know how.
Well, you're getting a really cool effect that's not easy to do traditionally. So you're making it work regardless, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean I think one of the other horrible little masochism decisions that went into this as well is that this is also like wet pavement. So there needs to be so I just threw some water in there as well.
Want to add to the blacktop to make your life hell?
Yes, I'm sure I will think of something.
I just love the texture of all your paintings. It's kind of annoying how good the texture is. Because right now, I look at it and I think it's got to be three-dimensional. Did she glue little rocks to it and paint it over it? And then no, she just uses paint. And then I'm like, well, fuck. That means that's really good. And then I get really upset with the vibrancy of the color because it's really bright in some spots and in other parts, and that's hard to do unless you're using oil. If you're using acrylic, I don't know. It's always very tough things. Every time, that's really bright, and then it just fades away as the as the water dries, and then it's holy crap, it's really bright. So I love your paintings, and they annoy the hell out of me because they're.
I was talking. I was talking to somebody about this as it was in progress, and he was like, "Oh, you should really just have done this in oil." And I'm like, "Oh, that's never gonna happen." No. But from a technical standpoint, he's correct. It would have been a lot fucking easier to do a highly rendered grisaille and then start glazing. But I also just simply am not going to invest oil paints right now.
You're correct, but that's not happening.
That's a strange thing to suggest, that you just use a completely different medium. I'm sure this is a nice person you're talking to, but that's weird.
This person rules. Okay. And he actually I think that there was some merit to what he said insofar as I was I'm going to do this stupid fussy bullshit, and he was it would be easier for you if you did that specific stupid fussy bullshit using oil, because you could get the glazing to help you with the funny bullshit that you're trying to do. Gotcha. As far as colors. And I think, and he's right. I'm just simply not going to.
Gotcha. This is a Caroline problem.
all of my problems are Caroline problems.
It definitely
I just
sounds
wanna
like an art
fucking
school
get the-
suggestion. Like I would definitely have told a student. I definitely would have told students that before they do
Yeah.
it in one medium. Like, why didn't you just do it in this medium instead?
Well, and that's the other thing is like with like there's merit to that suggestion is like oil would have been like a better medium for this. And like I've seen a lot of people who will do like that sort of rainbow tie-dye slick feel. Like Van Minnen is like the king of that fucking shit. And like there's a guy who has a studio down the hall from me who's done like those sort of like rainbow iridescent fluid puddles. And he'll do them in oil, and like he's using glazing techniques to get it, and it makes a lot more sense. But there's something about gouache too, with like the flatness of it, that like I think is really funny when pushed up against like shiny iridescent, like oil slick. I don't know.
It's some of what's exciting about looking at your painting. Also, is the mark making is pretty. I think. I mean, what do I know about it? But like specific to gouache, like the little lines in his face and stuff, like I think that's like a feature, not a bug, of the way you're painting this, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like the way that I I wouldn't say learned to paint with gouache because I don't think that I know how to. But the way that I've sort of like refined the approach, honestly, and Alex, you'll be not even remotely surprised. It's like Allison Summers' like progress videos. I was like, oh, that's how you're supposed to do it.
I see. That's funny. I wouldn't have thought of that, but I can see what you mean now. I mean, your work doesn't look like Allison's work, but I know what you mean.
Like the way that she they layer and like they approach it in like a very deliberate way. I had to learn to do that because I'm a little in my pants.
I know we've talked about this because once again, I am an enormous dork. But have you watched any James Gurney videos?
Gurney rules, man.
Yeah,
I love his.
I don't think we have talked about this.
Okay, super fun to watch paint, and he's good. You know,
he's great at gouache.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm constantly looking for ways to be less of an asshole to myself.
Jeffrey Watts too. I learned gouache techniques from Jeffrey Watts from Watts Atelier. He's got some free stuff, and then there's really affordable classes. I did one, but yeah. Gouache is nice just because like it is a little more forgiving than watercolor and kind of mixing the two, you know. But I really like this piece a lot. But
thank you.
Kind of like everybody's saying, but like for me, I love the diagonal motion of everything. So you know, it just kind of has that sense of flow that you want with that oil. So it's just one thing I want to add.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean,
it's been really like stagnant, you know, like since it's so like rigid and profile, but you found a way to make it like super active and exciting to look at.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like Noah was talking about this a little bit, but like on some level, the fact that I like sort of don't really know what I'm doing with gouache has made me like learn sort of my own ways around it, I think. So like I've tried recently to sort of actually like see how other people are doing stuff too, but like there's some element of like impatience on my part where I just kind of like charge head first into something and then like later on like there was probably a better way to do this. But on some level, like the process of just like not knowing what I'm doing and just like running into it like a complete idiot means that sometimes I have to like learn how to make it do what I want to. Like there's like you learn something in like wrestling with it.
Totally.
So Caroline, I totally missed because I had to run and find a charger for my phone. How like it says work in progress. How far along would you say this piece is?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It's also like it's this big. So it's a little baby guy. It's I don't know. I think like I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's like a prelude to a larger piece. And I'm using it as like a study ish, but it's like, you know, variations on a theme, I guess. So kind of like how Noah was talking about, like, you know, having multiple pieces of art that kind of like collapse into the same thing. Like that, I think is a really like I've seen people do that recently. And like, honestly, like Alex, you're going to have to deal with this piece later. So like I wanted to give you more than just an album cover to work with. So I figured like having some like more finalized little guys. But yeah, I mean like the neck and area of the head of the bird I've just like fully been avoiding. So like that needs to be paid attention to. There's some like wet textures that I want to try and pull in. This really only kind of I think started coalescing within the last like when I was working on it, like the last half hour of it, I made some choices that made it like snap a little bit. But yeah, it's definitely got some ways to go. Some of the colors are probably going to get pushed back a little bit, and like more pavement kind of nuance.
That looks great.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know
awesome.
if I want any of those colors to push back.
Yeah.
I mean, like, not wholly.
I mean, not that what I want is important, but you know,
Yeah.
just as a piece
It's
of
more
info.
like, don't worry, it'll still be fucking obnoxious. But like, you know, there are some like darks. I don't know. I've looked at a lot of like photos recently of like the actual ridiculous oil slicky kind of shit that you get, where you get that rainbow effect, and I don't know what it's called, but the folks I'm doing this for, one of them absolutely knew what it was called and went into like this whole like scientific explanation of, like, and like, but like you get these like interesting like edge textures where it goes from being this like really vibrant thing to being like a sort of muted thing as the pavement sort of starts to come back through.
The bottom
like,
right, you have that.
That's kind of I'm trying to like
so there's
push
there's
that a little bit more.
contrast.
Yeah, there's like saturation contrast. I also frankly like ran out of some paint colors. So like
That'll happen.
my
the worst.
dioxazine purple is just like a brick. So I need to get another one. It's fine though. That tube of paint was like from like 2009.
Ooh. Well, anything else kind of you've been working on? Anything particularly challenging? Anything you want kind of?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where like there's all sorts of stuff that like I think probably I need to be done with this in the next couple of days so I can just kind of hold it up. But
Yeah, this will be like at least a couple weeks before it's out.
It's a meat planet.
Nice.
I don't know.
Hell
So
yeah.
it's sorry, I'm really close to the mic. It's a planet made out of meat. I don't know. It has some like polar caps that are intestines. It has a nice little umbilical cord kind of ring.
It
Good
should
eyeball.
be pooping. It should be pooping.
Fair
There's,
point.
like-
It should poop.
Planets do emit
Should have
gases,
poop
right?
volcanoes. Should have poop
I feel like-
volcanoes.
I was gonna do like a pus volcano.
Ooh.
That's kind of more the angle, but maybe
Well,
there could be like some
If it's a
poop
meat
satellites.
planet, it would
Poop
be more of
satellite,
like
there
an
we go.
abscess.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be
Like-
pus. It'd be like an abscess eruption.
Oh no, we're not discriminating. We're equal opportunity disgusting planet. You know,
Okay.
more the merrier.
I don't know
But yeah,
Growing
like
up-
there's an eyeball moon, and I don't know. I need to figure out like what's going on in the background because it'll eventually be a shirt. So I
Nice.
belatedly realized I could have given it some like ridiculous border, but it's like at this point the scale of the drawing and how fiddly my lines can get. I'm not an asshole. I don't want to do that to a screen printer. So I kind of can't, but maybe I could. There's some ways, but it's definitely like, this is like an ad-libbed, like fun, improvised. I'm like, oh, what's disgusting that I could put in here?
It needs
Yeah,
pubes
some-
too.
Please. Oh,
It needs some pubes.
see? Thank you, Lucas.
Well,
I'll put some
that's what I'm
pubes
here
near the
for.
stitches too, because I've got some stitches that are running
Yeah,
through it.
stitches. Oh, that's good.
And I feel like
That's
that's like, yeah, the
Scabs.
scabs. Yeah, some scabs. I've got like these sort of like cord-like structures that look like you can see them when you like open up people's hearts. There's like a lot of these like crazy
Yeah,
like
those
cord-like
fibrous
little guys.
masses, right?
The fibrous masses, but I have one that's like, my hard drive is just like a nightmare. But one of the photos that I have is this like a, I I have it closed. It's like some sort of cyst or something that somebody like cut open. I used to frequent humpath.org or something like that. I just like, don't worry about it. It's like a pathology website. So it was just like, I have lots of like excised colons or like neurofibrotoma bowel stuff.
As we all do.
Just a delightfully gloopy. Yeah.
You probably would have loved the wall of my studio, because when I was in grad school, the entire wall was taped over with references printed from the internet. And it was like
that's
scanning electron micrographs of bug faces, but also like insides of intestines, all kinds of other stuff.
It's always really weird when I'm like eating dinner and my computer is up. Like it doesn't bother me, but it's one of those things where I've had these like sitting back and taking a look at like what I'm doing and being like, what?
For me, it would get kind of weird when I would actually start taking photographs of the food I was eating, because I was finding textures in that would go right up next to,
no.
Now I'm just like blurring the lines of like, what's now? I don't even know what's gross anymore. Like, is the food I'm eating gross, or,
I was working on this last night, and my partner was sitting on the couch next to me, and he was like, "Oh, it looks like Pizza the Hut," and I was like, "Yeah, it absolutely looks like cheese pizza."
Pizza the Hut.
Yeah, no, like I have these like cut open, nasty like tumor cyst things, and they look like cheese pizza.
Yeah,
hell yeah.
Anyway,
there was like a really great thing that someone posted that was like melted cheese or doom level, which was
I saw that one. Yeah. There's also the classic, like golden doodle or fried chicken.
Yeah. What is it like?
Chihuahua or blueberry muffin was another one.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I spent too much time on the internet, but yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. There's like the main challenge right now is that I have a day job that's taking up entirely too much of my time.
Yep.
So, health insurance and rent money. Hooray.
I feel you.
It's necessary.
All right, Jerry, you are up.
Of course, immediately. You guys okay? Okay. Sorry, my family is home now. Okay.
All good.
And all of a sudden, I have like a nuclear warhead going off behind my head because I turned on lights. So, apologies there, guys. I'm trying with my man bun with what hair I have left to stop it, but I can't. Okay, so Caroline, you're amazing at naming things. And I remember last time we had our little thing, you came up with the most amazing way to describe my art indirectly. Skulls and titties. That's my bread and butter. And this one specifically is got skulls and a titty. So this is for a band, I think it's a Coffin Rot. It's like the 5th album cover I've done for Maggot Stomp. I love working for Maggot Stomp. Scott, who runs it, he's an old metalhead like me. So, it's always fun to do cool stuff. And this is a double album cover. Obviously, the thing on the back, the left side will be on the back. The other side will be on the front. They're like, we want some, for those that know the movie, Tomb of the Living Dead looking guys and sacrificing a woman. And first I was like, look, guys, I don't usually make caveats to what I'm painting in most cases. And I was like, so like, what's going on here? And like, is this going to be some kind of very like misogynistic kind of thing? And they're like, no, it's like a horror thing and all that. And I was like, okay, that's cool, that's fine. So this is what I painted for him. I don't get to paint alligators very often, so that was kind of cool to paint an alligator.
Sick alligator.
Yeah, I'm loving
Thank
the
you,
alligator.
I appreciate it. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing, but that's what I could do for an alligator, ripping a dude's arm from the swamp. That's not really much to say, but most of my stuff is pretty straightforward. It's a bunch of zombie dudes sacrificing a woman with an alligator. Don't think too deep about it. Yeah.
You're like, that sky is so smart though.
Yes,
it means so much.
Love
with
that
the
sky.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the soft focus on the forest that's like off in the background makes it feel like it's foggy.
Yep.
Oh yeah. And that's all Bob Ross.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of Bob Ross.
That's literally what I was about to say, Jerry, is
Yeah.
like something I love about your work is you can really tell the Bob Ross influence, but it's like evil Bob Ross.
Yeah.
So that's even cooler.
You know,
Right.
I know a lot of people talk shit on Bob, and I won't stand for it. I grew up
Ross.
watching Bob Ross, and when I have a really shitty day, they have all of it on Hulu. Oh man, that dude is nothing but positivity. And you know, there's so many amazing things about Bob Ross, but one thing that's cool, you know, he did the the Wet on Wet and all that kind of stuff. And as a kid, I didn't understand what the hell was going on and why his stuff looked so cool and mine sucked. And I still feel that way. But one thing I did pick up from him is that idea of having the background for perspective. It's more shapes than anything else. So, you know, it's just taking a blending brush and just going up and down. I mean, I paint on wood. So that the grains sometimes help out as well. So I appreciate that. Yeah, those was fun.
There's that the tree that's off in the background. The one that's like the closest up also has a lot of fun rewarding stuff when you start looking at it. Like there's a little face. There's something that looks a little tentacular.
I like the faces. Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah. What of it, Alex?
No, nothing. Just want to make sure everyone heard.
I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
I called it tentacular.
You have a talent for coming up with amazing ways to call things. And I'm serious. I literally tell people now, and I think I may even put it on my Instagram handle that I specialize in skulls and titties. And viscera. I guess I have to add viscera to the back end of that.
I also just I like how monumental the gator is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a lot of the way that it kind of is rendered coming up out of the thing. It looks fucking huge.
Yeah. Yep.
It's one of those things where,
I don't know. I mean, I'm not around alligators, you know, like I said.
I mean, this
it sticks to Pennsylvania. You know,
this has a lot to it that you wouldn't find in a regular alligator, but in a way where it still reads like an alligator, and this is more like some crazy fucked up nightmare gator.
Yeah. Well, the ocean, it looks like it's splitting like an actual sea. It's like the Moses of evil alligators, and the fact that
it's very epic. I see it in slow motion, so it feels really, really huge. It's juxtaposed right next to that moon. For kind of gives a sense of scale to it. So it feels like it's bigger than everything else, even though real estate wise, it's not really taking up as much space as some of the other elements. But
appreciate that.
Yeah, just you've given us all these visual cues for reading it. Fucking big.
And
I was just saying one of the things that every time we talk about art, I always have to bring up Brahm. One of the reasons why I love Brahms so much is even in the paintings that he does with his quote-unquote movement, it always feels like he asks these monsters to stand still while he takes the picture and then paints it. Everything just seems like a still life, even though it's not still. And that's kind of maybe inadvertently I try here, because even when I look at it, it doesn't look like there's a lot of motion going on. It still looks like I took a picture. So,
I think I know what you mean. That Brahm feeling that you're in the Museum of Natural Sciences or whatever. It's posed animals in a way that I think is really cool. I do think there's a little bit. That's part of why the gator feels so triumphant here.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about this, and something you're really good at, is the way that, like you said, the viscera. What I love is how, and I think my favorite little detail in here, besides the alligator, is how the woman's drapery turns into the viscera is so cool, and how then that eventually goes up and almost turns into the alligator in a way, So it's that's such a. I mean, you have so many visual cues of how your eye leads around, but it's almost it goes down, it disintegrates, and then it, reforms into something else. And that's a really cool effect.
I don't know how much of making the sausage kind of thing I should really say, but one of the reasons why I think I did that and why it happens is I'm really bad at painting fabric. And so my way of getting around that was to abstractly make the charnel ground turn into her dress or whatever it is, ritual robe. And I will tell you something. I don't know if you have the capability of zooming in.
Unfortunately, I don't.
Well, whenever this comes out, the thing that I'm proud of the most is that skull to the right of her. I was able to really add a lot of brightness to it, and that took a bit out of everything else. That's the thing that I like about this one the most, is just a lot of the bones and skulls I did. I really liked how I did some of the lighting, even though it doesn't make sense from where the moon is, but that's a different story. But like I said, one of the most important things is that the clients
a little bigger now. Sorry.
Yeah, it's that little John right there to the right, all the way to the right. I don't know. That's the thing that I got really excited about when it was done. Yeah, and the clients were happy. The band loved it. You know what I mean? That was kind of the big thing. And they paid what I asked, which was double the fun. So yeah, this one was pretty cool.
Well, you shared quite a bit of work, so we have a couple slides.
Just flip through them. Okay, so the one on the left, I like this one a lot because I could spend months or weeks on something and no one gives a shit, and then that one on the left, I did on Christmas Eve. I'm not Christian, I'm Muslim, but my wife's Christian, so they were watching Muppet Christmas Tale, which is great, by the way. I love that movie. And they were doing a lot of Christmas stuff, and I was like, well, I don't feel like doing it. And so, I have kids, so we had those like really shitty art loft kind of canvases. Hold on 1 second. And it's like one of these kind of things or whatever. And I gessoed it up really quick, and I was reading Brahms' book, The Child Thief, and he's got this painting of a reverend. So I just painted it while they were watching a movie, and I added a cat. A little cat. He looks like Walter Brimley telling me about diabetes.
It's great.
But, yeah, and then like people went nuts for this, and I was like, okay, like I literally painted it while they were watching a movie and baking cookies, and then I ate cookies, and that's the one that people go nuts for whatever reason. And the one to the right I did for, I think it was Revocation. They had a song about a Ouija board. So they're like, we want a guy with like some Ouija shit, like being possessed. So I was like, all right, well, I can, put the planchette on his face and carve some stuff. I mean, that was, whatever. Again, they really liked it. So, cool. That's those.
I think that on the left, the reason it's so successful is just sometimes it's just the power of a really strong silhouette and simple shapes that you just immediately recognize and immediately have an impact, in the contrast with the figure versus the background. I mean, to me, it's like, it's just, sometimes you have those like painting sessions where everything just lines up and you create something really cool, and then sometimes it's a battle and it's a struggle, but I think there's a magic to that one because of that spontaneity, also because it's based off of a Brahm painting. That definitely helps. That helps. That helps a lot. You know what I mean? I still painted it, but like,
You also said this took you like an hour?
No.
Okay. I was going to say, fuck you.
3 hours, maybe.
Okay, well, still fuck you.
No.
Yeah, 3 hours, man.
It's small. I mean, it's...
Yeah, we're not going to talk about how long I've been working on the pigeon head.
Well, I also chose not to paint fucking asphalt. That's not... I just did water and shit. That's...
One thing...
Again, this is...
One thing I really like about the one on the right, actually, is like the sort of gradation of color on the figure, I think is actually really... It's really bizarre in a way that I think is what kind of pushes it into like the most successful territory. Like this would be great if it was different colors too, but like this kind of turns it up.
Your cool tones.
It has parts of it that look like they're like bronze turning into patina or copper,
Yeah, the oxidization.
Yeah,
The
it's
purple
like
is
it
what
looks
gets me.
almost shiny in parts, and then other parts it starts to turn kind of more.
Yeah, I paint with ink, with FW ink, and something I've been experimenting more and more with is Aquafine ink, which blends more like watercolor and an oil than it does acrylic paint. And so for that one specifically, I think it was just like a basic, cyan blue and a burnt umber, and just mixing them together on the wood itself. And that's also the other thing. The texture of the wood helps. It's not really a canvas where it gets stuck, if that makes any sense. It's a bit smoother. And then what I normally do is it's just putting base coats down, adding more and more white, because when you try to lighten it up and it looks really vibrant, looks really bright, and then like a half hour later it's like, oh wait, no, it's not. And then you start putting in shapes with. I try not, believe it or not, I try not to use a lot of black, especially straight black. I mix it in with the different colors and just slow shapes and stuff like that. But yeah, I appreciate it. I really like using like a processed blue with like a burnt umber. It makes some pretty cool green shades when they mix together, which I really, really like. And I love purple too. It's one of my favorite colors. So anytime I can add purple into a painting, it always makes me happy. So yeah. So
Here's something a bit different for you. I love these.
Yeah, whoa, what the hell?
What?
okay, all right. So
Come on.
all right, you snuckily stuck the Skinner portrait on the right. That's unfair.
Well, it fit in with the comic book kind of.
Well, that's true. Well, again, as I mentioned last time, I'm in the middle of drawing, an 8-issue comic with some people, and I love Jeff Darrow, and I love. I mean, that's it's kind of funny because if anyone knows Bernie, who's an artist out of Texas, he kind of started in that space and then has become like an oil painter, and I'm kind of going the opposite way. I kind of painted and then I really want to do this stuff. So this is another one from Maggot Stomp. If you know the band Body Box, they're known for two things: chickens and drugs. And again, here's Mr. Straight edge Muslim guy. It's the third album. So he's like, yeah, I was talking with Scott from Maggot Stomp. We actually had a number of conversations about this album that nothing ever happened. And then he's like, I've had to pay an arm and a leg for this friend that they did the art, and he's like, it sucks. And I was like, do you want me to help you out? And he's like, yeah, I need a chicken doing 3 lines of cocaine because it's their third album. So I was like, okay. So, I drew up the chicken with the coke, and I was like, I can do more. And he's like, can you put like a lot of 3s in it? So there's a lot of 3s. There's a woman with 3 breasts who also has a penis that turns into a chicken head, by the way.
Would you call it a cock?
It is a cock. Yes. There's a lot of 3. There's 3 lines of coke. There's 3 straws. There's a $3 bill. There's 3 shrimp. That's a deicide poster, but instead of a body, it's a chicken. That's their third album. There's Dale Earnhardt. He's got the Arabic number 3. There's 3 upside down crosses. There's all kinds of stuff like that. So that was a lot of fun. It was like highlights. If you guys remember those, like you find all the things except
like
it's the chickens doing cocaine.
Yeah.
Yeah, of all the I Spy stuff. And then I did all the ink work on this thing right here, and then I just digitally. Well, sorry.
Oh,
Wow.
Right,
So
with
cool.
all the little ticky tacky again Jeff Darrow style things here.
I love getting to see this kind of thing in black and white as well.
Yeah.
So originally it was supposed to be just black and white, and then he's like, "Yeah, they want it colored now." I'm like, "Oh fuck!" So then I colored it digitally. Yeah, which is fun to do. It's again because I'm also inking and coloring the comic book. I've gotten used to that.
Is that the fucking Watchmen badge?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's tattooed on my arm too. Yeah, he comes. The Watchman guy, the comedian's pin comes up in a lot of my art. Yeah, yeah. So so that was a lot of fun. And then that thing to the right, that's actually Skinner. He is very, very sweet, and I was telling him, Creepshow did a 7-issue run recently, and he did all the variant covers. And I told him my daughter just got massively obsessed with Creepshow comics and the TV show on Shudder, and so he sent her all 7 of the comic books, signed them, and was very unprompted. So as a thank you, I drew him a portrait of Mobius Skinner with a couple chunky boy aliens, and then I
like
colored
the
it.
chunky boy aliens.
Yeah, that was
The
my
little
daughter's.
guy who's sitting on his lap.
Oh yeah,
Little fat tentacles.
Yeah. Well, and the chair has a little
And
face.
the chair has a little face.
it's got a
Yeah.
little goblin face on it. Yeah, yeah. And so then I just digitally colored it while watching wrestling, and then sent the original to him, and he thanked me and all that stuff. But it was very nice of him to do so. So I tell people all the time, if you ever want me to draw or paint you something, do something nice for my children, and that's always beneficial. Yeah. So that's the other side of what I do.
Yeah, this stuff is new to me. You're like
Yeah.
real natural at it, man. Like
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I'm surprised. It's like almost the exact opposite of your other work.
Yeah,
It doesn't seem like you should be able to be good at both.
I shouldn't. No. But yeah. I find this stuff to be more fun to do. I know that sounds weird. Just because, again, I'm obsessed with comic books and I love hyper detailed things, and there's 3 roaches, there's 3 cigarettes, all kinds of again, Jeff Darrow things that I could fit in there as much as possible. But yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, this one was a lot of fun.
Super cool. Anybody else got any comments on these?
Don't
They're
do
just
cocaine.
sick. They're just awesome. I don't even know what else to say. They're just badass.
I just love the camera perspective on it's
The
going
check-in.
right up to the lines, like just
Oh yeah.
there's such like a manic energy to it, man. It's so cool.
Well, there has to be. He's doing cocaine. That's.
But a lot of artists wouldn't make that decision, and it was such a good one.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
A
Oh
couple
my God,
others.
there's more. Christ. I didn't know
You
were
said-
gonna put all
you
of them.
said-
I just said a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
All right, here's more shit. Here's more
These are
stuff.
cool. So the one on the right. So is it like a Christmas oriented thing?
Okay, so all right, this is I think number 17 or 18th painting I've done for Frozen Soul. Like as you guys know with clients, they're like, "Yo, we need this done like ASAP," and that was a year ago, and it still hasn't been released. It's all good. It's how it goes. And this was for one of their songs that has kind of a Christmas theme. So it's an axe going into a brain skull thing, and there's Christmas lights. I kind of like how the Christmas lights came out. That was a shock. And the one to the left was for thrash metal band Electrocutioner. And that one was just kind of cool. That was just fun to paint. But skulls and viscera and breath.
Christmas lights now.
And Christmas lights. Yeah. That was kind of fun to do. Yeah. So that's kind of what's been going on here.
Yeah, awesome work, man. You've been really productive. It's been awesome to see.
It doesn't feel like it, let me tell you. And that's kind of, I have to echo a lot of what Alex was saying. I'm kind of at a weird stage in my proverbial career where I'm starting, not saying no to things, but I am immensely busy. And that's a good thing. I'm not complaining on that. Like I said, I'm doing an 8-issue, 32-page comic book where I'm penciling, inking, and coloring. I mean, that's a lot of fucking work.
Yeah.
I got album commissions. I've got a full-time job, teaching economics. I've got kids with all kinds of issues. I do like hanging out with my wife. So it's like, there's a lot going on. And it kind of gets to a point where, especially in the space that I'm in regards to death metal, every time I put something out and people really like it, I get a very young band being like, "We would love an album cover." It's like, bruh, here's what I charge at this point. I don't mean to be a prick about it, but like, I can't do this for a cheesesteak and a pack of cigarettes. Like, if I'm telling people no, I have to raise my prices. And it's not that I tell people I can't do it, but it's like, look, I'm pretty much busy until probably the end of February before I'm even going to start something. And this is how much it's going to cost. And if that's cool and you can wait and you can pay it, awesome. If not, it's no hard feelings. You're going to have to find someone else. You know what I mean? Because I really want to get this comic book done. I think I mentioned on Instagram, I've already written a kid's book. Now I just have to illustrate it. If
I
there's
didn't
no
know that.
chicken. Yeah, it's something I've been wanting to do actually for a while. I've had it written for a while, but I didn't think I could do it. And then I reread The Plucker by Brahm, if anyone's ever read. I know I'm mentioning Brahm a lot, but that's kind of what a conversation with me is like. But if... One second, let me see. Oh, thanks. If you've never read The Plucker, good luck finding it. Like I said, when you're old, you have a lot of shit, and then it goes missing. You have to rebuy it. So this cost me $100. And if you ever, first off, Brahm is an amazing writer. You should read his books. But he has a fully illustrated, 160-page book about the Plucker, which is an evil spirit stealing toys and taking out their gusto, as it's called. And when I reread it, I was like, yeah, I could probably do that. I'll try. Why not? I can add one more fucking thing to the pile. So at that point, like in all honesty, and again, this isn't meant to be kind of dickish. Like I'm not really taking like a t-shirt commission right now. You know what I mean? Like smaller things, I'm having to turn away because I just have so many other things to do, and it's really, really tough. And I'm with you, Alex. It's like, but I don't want to say no because I'm so used to being like, I need the money, and I like painting, and I don't want to be that kind of jerk off that I can't do this. But it's like I really don't have the time.
Yeah, but also sometimes you want to say yes to stuff because it would be fun, and then you also don't have the time to do the fun stuff.
Exactly. Like Cocaine Chicken was a favor. I'm getting paid very little for it, but I knew that because I'm helping out someone who's paid me for a bunch of other stuff. But it was also fun to do. I don't get to it's all coked out chickens very often. So, but that was like you're saying, but it was fun to do, so I didn't have a problem. And I guess it's different wanting to do something than having to do it. I don't know.
No, if there's a project that I don't want to do and I have to do it, it's like pulling teeth.
Oh my God. It really is. And they're like, where is it? It's like, sorry, I'm slow on it.
I just can't say yes to stuff I don't want to do it because I won't do it.
Yeah. So it's a weird spot to be in. In all honesty, it's a really weird spot to be in. So it's kind of what's going on here.
Well, in terms of the work itself, man, I feel like you just keep getting better and better, and it's awesome seeing
Thank you. I
pen and ink work too. So, like, you're doing something right from the just purely aesthetic point of view.
Awesome. I mean, I'm crying most nights by the end of it.
Who amongst us isn't just?
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
People are like, oh man, like that was really, really good. You think so? That one finger like killed me for about 3 days. It's like one of those things. But yeah. So,
all right. How about we take 5 minutes, come back, and then I'll go. Sure. Lucas will go, and then we'll go into the part 2. And I'm keeping an eye on the time. Everybody's still good? Just 5-minute breaks, good for everybody.
Yeah, that works.
All right, sweet.
Alex, FYI, I can totally hear you.
Yeah. I'm crunching on these nuts. The peanuts. Fuck. All right, good. Leave it in. Don't edit that.
I got it. Cool.
Do we have like a RC car or something going on in the background? Anybody else hear that?
I am going to tell you that's probably, there's like one guy out here who's cleaning his car, and he fucking always does this.
Oh, okay.
I think it's like the vacuum. It's just like at night for like, I'm impressed that that's being picked up actually.
I mean, it's bad. It's not going to.
Okay.
I like the idea that it was an car. Like
that would be much more exciting, but now I'm pretty sure this is.
Nuts.
He washes
I don't
his
know
car every night.
I don't know if it's the same guy. But if it's the same guy, this guy has also been listening to the same like Tom Jones song really high up in the morning.
I like this guy
randomly.
more and more.
No,
Hell
you
yeah.
would hate him.
That's
He's
good.
fucking irritating. But like,
Break, actually,
anyway.
with Tom Jones.
Anyway, yeah.
All right.
That's so
The
much
Tom
art.
Jones thing is endearing.
Yeah. Let me mark down the time. All right. Cool.
Now I just
I'm sorry.
I guess you can mute if you're
I
not gonna
can't
say
do
anything.
anything about. I can mute for a bit.
And then just come back on whenever you want to say something. All right, cool. And we're back on. Sweet. So here's some of my recent work that's kind of made its way out there. Pretty much pen and ink focused. Sometimes I'll do like a little bit of Copic marker, like grays, just to kind of get some like mid-value ranges. But yeah, in the last like 6 months of 2023, I did a lot of like pen and ink stuff, and I even put like watercolor and colored work aside for a bit. But that's something I want to return to this year. I'm actually working on a couple pieces right now, but I wanted to kind of just really see this type of stuff through a bit more, because I was doing like some smaller pieces. So the one on the left, I forget why I even named it, man. Sometimes I'm terrible at naming my stuff. But just like, it's like a alien knight, you know, kind of disintegrating, fighting this like spontaneously occurring like Hydra alien dragon on like this like kind of spaceship command center thing. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like Jerry. I don't know exactly what to say sometimes, but I'm happy to talk about any of the technical details and stuff.
Well, you could say it's badass. I mean, there's that.
Thank you.
I love that tile floor, man.
Yeah.
Like that
is
really
not easy to do.
It's polished too.
Yeah, that's like Ken Kelly style, and you're not even painting. I mean, you're using just black ink, and that's
yeah.
wow.
So for that, I did like a Copic like N1, and I actually looked at you know that really famous Frazetta cover for Famous Funnies, where it's like in a spaceship and there's like this silhouette coming out. So I looked at like how they did the ground, and yeah, it's just like a streak down to get that kind of shiny effect. And then there's some like hatching too, but I definitely used the more like soft approach of the marker to get that effect.
You know, and this goes for a lot of your artwork, and I know you're a big fan of like 70s French comic book guys, clearly, and I love that stuff too. This has a weird, and again, I'm going to talk in like album cover stuff. This is like, it's like a weird mix of like Roger Dean, Wayne Barlow, and Philippe Droulet.
All my
like
heroes.
All together. I mean, yeah. I mean, it has that French comic book black and white style, and there's so much movement. I love that knight. I didn't even realize it was a knight until you said it. Now it's like, holy crap, you know. And the dragon's awesome. Again, this is a farmer's market T-shirt that I would have gone nuts for as a kid. And when I say kid, I mean now. Right. This is just it's awesome. I love your stuff, dude. It's so good.
Thanks, man.
Everything looks
Abs
real. Yeah,
on the dragon.
100%.
What about the dragon?
He's been doing some like bicycles, like bicycle crunches.
Oh, the abs.
Like hollow body.
Hard to imagine because he has no legs.
You can still have abs. Maybe he's all
just
core.
shredding.
Well, I mean, dragons should be all core, right?
Well, he could just like be flailing his little tails, and then that would build up the core strength.
I really
he's got like wait. So there's the like stuff on the left, and I'm gonna just shove my face real up close to this. Sorry. The like way that the knight, I guess, is like dissolving.
Yeah.
Is fucking fun. Like this is one of those things where like looking at work on a phone screen just honks. Because you miss a lot of this. Like I saw this when you posted it, but like I didn't truly register like the way that this knight is functioning. And it's like the longer you look at it, the more rewarded you are. It's really great.
Thank you. I can grab
Yeah.
the original too.
That leg, especially, that's my favorite part of the night, where it starts to disintegrate.
Yeah,
and it has that structure.
You're not sure if that's just the structure of his body or not. Like, that's how I was reading it. And then when you get up higher to see that they're all like kind of unraveling, it's like a fun treat.
It also reminds me of, and I can't remember shit. It's like Saint Michael or something, but it's this medieval thing at the cloisters.
Yep.
And Alex, you will definitely know this one. Lucas, you might. It's like a knight who's standing on like this classic like medieval demon that has hell yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But
and then that's what I build
demon,
up from there.
Yeah. That demon has like that it's the demon that has like a ooh yes, like vanquish me daddy kind of expression on his face. No, but like that's literally the only way I can describe it. But like the posture of the knight is always so cool with that one because he's literally standing on the guy and like totally comes through here.
Yeah. No, it's really solid for like two imaginary things that are also kind of like he's disintegrating, but he has like a lot of weight. Like I really understand the form of that guy.
Thank you. Yeah, the nods to like some like Greek stuff definitely was there, and I pulled that up as like my initial reference, but then I had to kind of tilt the characters a little bit just for the view I wanted. But that pose was definitely taken from that statue.
Yeah, there's definitely like I see a little bit of like the Laocoon in that too. You know, it's not exactly the same thing, but I can see that kind of reference.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What kind of pen do you use? Are you nibs, felt? Are you doing microns? Like what is?
Microns and brush mostly.
Okay.
Brush a lot of times for like outlines, and then I use kind of. I always forget the. A lot of people they talk in microns in terms of the number. I'm kind of an idiot. I always look right at the measurement every time. So I always go off the measurement. So I use like the 0.2, 0.25, 0.35, 0.5, and then brush beyond that.
My God, really? I just noticed what you were saying. Really?
Yeah.
Hey,
I always look at the millimeter.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Because the numbers don't make any sense to me. That's why I just go off the millimeter. And I always just look at that small little number every time I pick it up to make sure
I just use what's on the cap.
Yeah.
I'm
always doing like this, like inspecting it.
I don't even know where you see it on the pen, Lee, where it says.
Thank you. I thought I was tiny. I was like, what?
It's like the number is just right there.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. But it's like I haven't associated them. I don't know the 0.1 is the 0.25, so I was just like, okay, it's the 0.25.
For like the planet and for the shine on the. Do you use like a paint pen, or what?
Oh, I'll do for a little bit of white highlights. I'll use the Posca white if I'm lazy, and then if I'm not lazy, I'll pull out gouache. It just depends on if I want to do like quick little highlights and stuff.
You know what I found out, and I'm gonna put you on game here.
Sure.
Whenever I'm doing it a lot of black, and I know I'm going to be hitting it with the paint pen to do reflections. Be careful what ink you use, because and I have to redo actually a page because I got like a different one like this, and I did a whole block of black, and then when I was using the white paint pen for whatever reason,
it'll lift.
Yeah, and now I have to I just gotta redo the section and because there's nothing you can do about it. You know what I mean? Always practice if you know you're gonna be doing any sort of white paint pen, always practice with the ink that you're using, or you're gonna learn the hard way like I did. And maybe that's the benefit of going to art school. I don't know.
I run into the same thing where when I'll lay down an area of black, when I go over it with white gouache, sometimes it'll beat up. And there's it'll be the same ink. I use all the same ink all the time. And for some reason, one spot, the gouache will beat up, and other spots, it'll be fine. It'll lay down fine. Yeah.
It's like, you're just fucked. There's not much you can do.
Whenever I use like a white ink too, like it depends on the white ink. Because like there are white inks that are actually like designed to be used with dip nibs. And I find those a lot easier.
Yeah, I don't.
/ more. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. But like but with those white inks too, like it brand to brand, it's totally fucking different.
Yeah.
And like a lot of the like, there's a lot of stuff that's sold as like white ink, but it really is effectively just like gouache in a jar.
Yeah.
Mm.
I haven't
So,
really
like,
found
yeah.
a white ink that I like personally, not yet. But I just bought some deleter stuff that a lot of people swear by. I'll have to
The
try.
deleter stuff is sort of the same, where it's like super viscous, so you're gonna want to
Yeah.
use a brush with it.
I'll just use gouache. I just love to just try this
PH
shit.
Martin has a decent white ink, like the PH Martin Bombay inks. Their white ink is fine. There's I can never remember the brand name, but it's some like anime manga white ink that I got from like Jet Pens or some shit. That
Interesting.
it's fine. The problem with that one is it's not water fast, or it's like not waterproof. So if you like, I've started doing stuff where like I put washes over it and it just like sort of, but you know, PH Martin.
You can always get one shot.
But yeah, like those jelly roll pens too. I know a lot of people swear by them for white highlights, and I don't love it because it doesn't have the same.
They're not powerful enough.
Yeah.
But I will intentionally use the jelly roll. So if you look at the stars on the one on the left there, I want some stars to be more up front and closer. And then I want some that are farther back. So if I want like a very, very weak white, I'll just like smash the jelly roll on the thing,
I mean, like Riddick was saying that he uses the jelly rolls, and like I love that dude's drawing on like printer paper, like Sharpie, like
right.
fucking owns. But like I don't know how he does it other than like magic. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So this next one, these are two colored pieces. One of them was just a sketchbook piece, but I'm actually going to be using it for a t-shirt commission I'm working on right now. The one on the left I'm about to show you kind of buries the lead on what I'm going to be talking about for my unexpected inspiration. So this thing on the left is it's a landscape painting, right? It's a watercolor landscape painting that it's pretty tiny, and it was very difficult to pull off. I'm pretty happy with the result. It's something that I love watching these types of videos and reading these types of books because it's so different than like a lot of the art that I just naturally have been drawn to over my life. And it's like a performance. That's what I love about this type of watercolor, with it being wet on wet. And like there's some repeatable elements to it, but I always feel like you were talking earlier, Caroline, about how like there's like the ugly phase of like paintings and stuff. Man, I've been like really what's interesting about this type of watercolor is you can do a piece in like 5 hours, and all those emotional highs and lows, they come so quickly when you're having to work in such a time sensitive thing like watercolor. Whereas, what I'm doing here, it's a puzzle, it's chipping away out over time. It's just hours. This is very difficult for me. But I'm pretty happy with how it came out. And then the thing on the right is just a cool, like fungal dragon sketchbook piece.
I love that dragon. I gotta say. I think that looks like so sick, fully, completely done, like polished. I love that.
I like the little like skittery crustacean legs on his snout.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, you'll see him again, full body for like a t-shirt illustration I'm doing.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
There's going to be abs.
Yeah, they're better.
The abs won't be visible, but they will be felt.
Yeah, but I really like the like
an unreasonable. No, say I was just being no. Let's move away from the goofy bullshit I was gonna go to.
We can come back to Dragon Body. I just want to tell you I like the way you handled the like highlights in that painting. Like the like sort of blown out sky and then the like little speckles. It's really like satisfying and fun to look at.
Yeah.
It's like beautiful, like golden hour.
Yeah, it's like sun dappling. It can be really difficult thing to capture in any medium. So I find myself really liking the landscape painting a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lee, were you using Frisket for that? Did I see you were using Frisket recently?
So
okay,
I use it for all those kind of pockets that you were talking about. So
Frisket or like masking fluid? Like
Masking fluid, sorry. Yeah, masking.
I don't
Some
ever-
people use them interchangeably, but yeah, masking fluid, which is, you have to be very specific because once you put it on there, when you're doing a wet on wet wash at the beginning, everything that you have the masking fluid on, it's going to be disjointed if you're not careful. So don't overdo it, that's kind of the tricky thing there. And I mean, I went through a couple ugly phases with this painting. Yeah, I use really shitty brushes for that.
Yeah. I like the story that one on the left is telling, because now I'm wondering, why is Death dragging a dude across train tracks?
He's like Snyder with his passion.
What's that?
It's like he's doing like a 1930s villain. He's like leaving this guy.
Yeah, like he's got the mustache,
Yeah.
I need there's like a Nickelodeon piano kind of thing happening with it.
Oh, see, you don't think he's just setting up a trolley problem for somebody?
I was actually also going to make a trolley problem joke, so
I went there then, so it's on
the economist in me thought that instantly, but I didn't want to.
That's the last time you'll see me exercise restraint.
I'm all sitting here feeling like, well, I should have something to say. Okay, make a trolley problem.
Trolley problem joke.
Trolley problem. It's a big deal. I really like it a lot. I like it when happy paintings and happy scenes have really weird dark undertones. Shocking, I know. And you start at the top of the painting and you see, like you said, this blown out sky and it's really beautiful. Oh, there's a train. By the way, this guy's gonna die a pretty gruesome death.
Yeah. Lee,
and then the dragon is back.
Lee, if you're not familiar with Fairfield Porter, you should check out his work. He's a landscape painter from like the mid-century. Painted a lot of like coastal Maine, but his landscape work, and especially some of his watercolors, I think you would really dig.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean my Instagram is like all watercolor artists, metal artists, and then tattoo artists. That's basically all I see. And it's like very different because, like traditional watercolor painting, I don't know. I never was interested in it until I tried it. And then I realized how fun yet challenging and like obsessed I can get about it because it feels so different than pen and ink work. And I think it's so opposite too, where it's all soft edges and transitions, and every mistake can be like, it's harder to recover from them. So I don't know.
So what you're saying is that you're a total glutton for punishment.
It feels like that. Like I spent all day working on a painting, and while I was in it, I was like, man, this thing is looking like shit. And right now I'm looking at and I think I can salvage it, but it's tricky, man. So like that was kind of one thing I wanted to talk about is like, I'm not really particularly right now having any struggles with like the business or social media stuff right now. I mean, yes, I only have so many hours in a day, but like being able to like, especially with watercolor, okay, you got 4 hours, you put a painting out. That painting could suck or that painting could be good, and just being totally okay with it. Like there's like a mindset to it that sometimes can be challenging, but I just kind of felt that today, whereas like when I was painting it, it never really felt like I was like completely in control. But now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, it looks pretty good. So I don't know. It's like you kind of get sucked into what the experience of making the art was like when you're actually judging if it's successful or not at the end.
Right. You got it. No one else has seen every other stage of this painting,
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Very true. Yeah.
But yeah, let's go to Lucas.
Yeah, spider fingers.
Oh man.
Yo.
Yeah, that rules.
Actually, the one on the left also, I know, and sorry, I'm totally jumping the gun. I like the pile of it, like just the physical weight of that shit is so cool.
Thank you.
Anyway, sorry, I totally cut you off.
So yeah, I kind of struggled like to figure out what to share with Lee. So much of the stuff I did last year, I still can't share. It's like so much shit. Like
always,
I was just like, what the fuck do I even show? Like that's recent. Right. What do you mean recent? all the stuff like completed like just before Christmas. I can't share any of that stuff. So yeah, I mean, if you guys want to see the paintings I did, I can show you when we're not recording. But yeah, so I picked these because they're at least recent-ish. Even if I already kind of posted them, probably the most recent one is the Spider Dude commission. That was kind of a weird one. I haven't really done too many commissions like this before. I'd like to do more. But it just this guy out of the blue was like, I really like your artwork. He's like, I'm kind of it's like I have a day job, but I'm kind of aspiring to become an author, and I have this monster that I want to have in the story, and I'd really like to have like a visual representation of it to like keep me inspired while I'm writing. So, we talked about it a bit. It was basically like a creature design commission, which was really cool. And in talking about like concepts for it, came out that we both had a degree in biology. So we started really kind of nerding out about like spider anatomy and stuff. Like, well, should it have? I noticed that you're when you mentioned like the limbs that it should have, you didn't talk about the pedipalps, and I put pedipalps in there. I don't know if that's okay. We talked about the chelicera. We talked about all the different. Should I have the head more separate, or should it be more like a cephalothorax, like you'd actually see on a real spider? It was fun. It was actually fun to get to talk through all that stuff with somebody. I think it made for a more interesting design too. Like one of the things that he wanted was it still to be like there to be an indication that this thing was once a human being. So like the spider limbs, each spider limb is like a split in half version of a human limb, right? So like that those two front legs are like one arm split in half. So I have like just the thumb and forefinger on one, and then the other three fingers on the other part of it.
That's so cool.
So that was kind of fun and like weird and kind of uncomfortable to think about while drawing. So yeah, I enjoyed that. It was such a strange commission, kind of out of the blue. I haven't gotten to do too much stuff like that before, so I was really, really pleased to do something that wasn't really gonna. It wasn't really, it's not really intended for other people to see. Like he just basically commissioned the original. He bought the physical piece. No, he has no licensing rights to it or anything. So that was kind of neat. The piece for Cursed, for the Cursed zine, that was from this past summer. I think I did that back in June or July, and that was fun because I just kind of got to do my thing. When Tyler approached me to contribute to it, he just was like, "Yeah, we just want a piece," So I had this idea. I think I did this drawing. I think this is the third version of that drawing before I actually turned it in. I started to do that a lot more this year when I had time, which I didn't have a lot of time. But there would be cases where I would get like 75% of the way through something and go, "Fuck this, starting over." Which I didn't used to do a lot. Become a lot more. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but this is definitely like version 3, I think, of that drawing. Trying to settle on something that I liked. Yeah, this is one of those ones too, where like the way that I built up the image was to avoid using contour lines as much as possible. I just tried to use stippling here and there, and like kind of a hybrid of hatching and stippling to kind of build up a sense of texture. But I didn't want to do contour lines if I could avoid them, because I find that that's like it's such a different way to work, but it's kind of really, really pleasing. Obviously there's contour lines for the little border.
I was going to say, the way, like the contour lines melding into that style from the border, like the way that you've gotten all of those limbs to like connect to the border with those contour lines. Like, again, it's really nice to see these in a format that's larger than my tiny phone screen, because you get to see so much more in it. But yeah, like, I mean, both of these like are just wild, but like the weight on the one on the left, and then also the way that the border like connects in, it's very thoughtful and clever, I think. To have those sort of like interplays, but like again, like the middle part of it, like it's like this precarious like stack that you like can see the form and the weight, and you're just like, man, I don't know if that's gonna I don't know if that's gonna like be supported by those like noodly appendages down at the bottom.
Yeah.
It's just, it's so wild. But then also the spider guy, a thing that I didn't notice when you posted it initially is like the way that the skin is like ripping open at the base of the limbs, and then like for what are the little guys called coming out of the mouth?
Those are the chelicera.
Thank you. The like the stretchy bits around the chelicera, where you can see that like his skin is like ripping open to like have that stuff forced out, and like all of the like little gaps and boils and like nastiness. It's I tip my hat to you, sir. This is disgusting, and I love it so much.
Hey, you know what? I take that as a real compliment coming from you, Caroline, because I look at your drawings all the time. It's like just studies in both like an amazing achievement in grotesque, skin textures, and also it's just an amazing like study, or like, I don't know, even parable of self-punishment. You know what I mean? But I try to learn the wrong lessons. I should try to punish myself as much as Caroline punishes myself. That's what I should try to do.
No, no one should ever. But also,
they say pain is temporary, right? But art is forever.
I mean,
I love the mix of inking styles that you use on your pieces. I mean, like, again, like the what do you call that? The stippling? What's that?
Yeah.
I never understood how people do it so well. I mean, there's some people that are absolutely insane with it, and I can't figure it out. But then you also have like standard block work, and then you have standard cross hatching, and it looks so good together. And I hate spiders. I kill them on a regular basis. I have massive arachnophobia. And a friend of mine is an arachnotologist, so I've calmed down on the killing as much as I can, because he told me I'm safe, but I don't believe him. And I like I love monsters, and I love creature shit, and I like just cool shit in general. And I like the fact that you put so much detail into the idea of what it would be like if you turned into a spider. You know what I mean? And as Caroline said, like that stretching of the skin and the idea that it's a metamorphosis process. Most people probably wouldn't have done that. It would have just been, a weird spider body with some limbs. Most people being me. And so the fact that like you took the time and like really kind of went into it, I think is really, really cool. And it shows. It shows that there was a lot of thought in this, and it wasn't just let's make a monster. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Well, it's cool how there's a logic in the storytelling here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's a natural, you can see the evolution, which is so cool. And always finding those like parallels between different, anatomy between completely different creatures is always so cool. Yeah. And that's really awesome on this thing.
Yeah, that was the fun part of it too. Like, thank you, Noah. But that was like really the fun challenge of it for me too, was he had kind of a specific story in mind, and we kind of talked through in, iterating like concept sketches, how those elements of the story would sort of appear, like register in the form or on the body of this thing. So that was what was really fun, is it's like when you get to do something like that, to me, it's a lot more collaborative than most of my like kind of commission work usually is, right? Like when someone comes to you wanting like a specific design for like a character or creature, it's fun because you're going to have a lot of back and forth to like get that on paper. It's not that like doing album covers isn't collaborative, but it sometimes can be like a one-way street with some clients where like they're like, we want this, and you're like, is this right? No. Is this right? No. Is this right? No. Is this right? No. Is this right? Kinda. Is this right? Yeah, more. Is this right? Yes. You know what I mean? It's like it's collaborative, but it's not like we're both kind of creating the thing together as much. I have some clients that are like that, but this was a lot more. We were kind of like coming up with this thing together as we were talking through an email.
So
I find that really fun.
The full like nerding out about like the particulars of spider anatomy just like fills me with so much joy.
Oh yeah, I was just like, terms I haven't gotten to use since I was an undergrad. I'm like, it's the chelicera, the pedipalps. Let's talk about the cephalothorax on this guy. That was a lot of fun. I was a big zoology nerd when I was a biology major. That was what I was interested in. Specifically, invertebrate anatomy was like my big thing. Surprise, surprise, right? So I'm gonna say like some of this stuff that we're talking about today, like I don't know that any of my influences are really that unexpected. Like if you know anything about me, it's like of course.
Yeah.
It's kind of a self-awareness exercise
like,
in a way too.
It shouldn't be unexpected. But.
Yeah, I had this conversation with Alex ahead of time because I was like, I need a gut check. Like, how unexpected is this really?
Yeah, it doesn't seem all that unexpected to me what I'm gonna talk about. So.
Yeah, not to be a gamer brain with that last one, but you could see that in Bloodborne easily. Yeah.
So that's
the one in both of them.
Actually, I love that compliment. Like, I'm very, very happy to hear that.
Yeah, man.
Have you played Elden Ring? Like, you know that guy that's like the centipede with all the arms? It's got that feeling for me. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's like one of my favorite, most horrific things I've seen in a long time. So
yeah, so cool.
Very right, you know.
Thank you, guys.
Hell yeah!
Oh shit!
Passing rules.
So I kind of hesitated about whether or not to show this piece just because I don't want to license it to anyone. So for our listeners, I'm not putting this on Instagram for a while. So for our listeners, do not ask me if you can license this piece because you cannot. This piece I did, I think I also did it last summer. I basically was like, I want to start making some shirt designs for myself so I can start, making some at least gestures toward making merch. So I thought, well, what makes more sense than to do like my own like kind of Lovecraftian Cthulhu mythos type set of illustrations that I could put on shirts. So this is based on a couple of Clark Ashton Smith stories. Anyone's a real head and reads any CAS? We can talk about that a little bit later when we get into like influences. But that's what this piece is from. It's from another like pulp horror author from the 20s and 30s who was a colleague of Lovecraft's who wrote some really interesting stories. I don't have too much more to say about it. It was a really fun one to do. It's another one where I tried to stay away from using contour lines too much. I mean, they show up in little places where you've got kind of small details that need to be delineated with lines, but for the most part, I tried to just do like value work, stippling and hatching, and kind of hybrid stippling and hatching, which is a method that I found really, really fun to use for this. This is probably probably the most like straightforwardly influenced by Dave Carson. If you guys are familiar with that guy. Mm-hmm. He was a guy who did a lot of illustrations for Chaosium back in the day.
Hell yeah, he did.
Yeah, so I love his shit. I just love his
stuff.
Oh yeah.
Influenced by, but like it's I can see the influence when you mention it, but it's like it still feels very much like your hand.
Oh yeah, I'm past the point of being able to just like imitate anybody now. It's gonna look like my stuff.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Oh, that's beautiful.
What book is that?
Called by Cthulhu, The Eldritch Art of Dave Carson.
Oh, I gotta snag that.
Yeah.
I bought it for my birthday last year as a present to myself, and it was a good choice.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up.
As a player of Call of Cthulhu, Chaosium's art is really crappy.
I have almost close. I can't say maybe almost close, but I have a pretty solid run of their fiction books from the early 90s through the early 2000s. I think I have almost every single one from like 94 through like 2001 or something.
Yeah.
So
I love playing Call of Cthulhu. It's so much fun, but their art is terrible. This blows everything they've ever put out of the water, which you have. And once again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. This is most definitely a T-shirt worthy of the farmer's market purchase. This is so badass.
I want to go to this farmer's market.
I was going to say, I've never been to a farmer's market that has this level of shit in it.
It's called Boots Corners Farmer's Market in Wilmington, Delaware. Now, what's funny is, I mean, I see everything that you're saying with CAS, and I see everything that you're talking about. But I also see Michael Whelan's Arise cover for Sepultura.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? That was like the first thing that popped out about those little details with the comic. And then you've got, you know, Star Spawn over here, and then you've got that there. It's just so cool. I love this one so much. This is so awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, again, like just the longer you look at this, like the more fun little stuff you get to find. Like it's full of little things for you to find later, full of little prizes.
I love the star shape
moments
thing on the corner there.
Yeah, like this is and also there's that like segmented insect back kind of thing that goes across. Like
I saw like alligator kind of back.
Yeah,
I definitely kind of modeled it on like a centipede.
Yeah.
But like loosely. You know what I mean?
Really good white chunks, like satisfying. Like it's like the reverse of how I usually think about inking. With like there's big black areas, like there's these like real nice little relaxing white zones where I can finally like catch my breath.
Yeah.
I really love the texture of wings.
Like, you know, kind of designer's jizz, you know, into my
I'm glad you brought that up.
There. Little designer's jizz.
You can really start talking about it.
Compositional cum, you know, kind of help things out a little bit.
It always amazes me how many varied textures you can pull off. It's like, you know, because I feel like especially a lot of inkers, you know, and I'm not an expert. I do not like inking. You rarely will ever see me do it, but I don't know. It's something that always blows me away, just because like there are a lot of inkers that will often stick to limited techniques, but I feel like you just explore like all of them. You know what I mean?
Try,
and that's so cool.
No, I'd really,
it's so cool to see that. Like even just in one piece, I'm always like seeing all these different kinds. So that's always really awesome to see.
I
think
appreciate that.
It's rare. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Caroline.
It's really rare. Like someone to actually employ a whole variety of different inking techniques, single piece, and have it. But you like when you're doing sort of the whole of this, it feels like using different inking like styles because that's what the moment actually wants. And it's like you see people who are using sort of like to kind of all the same marking throughout. That's just kind of the mode that they're in, whereas you clearly have your tricks and your tricks, and you're able to just kind of like requires. I don't think a lot do, if that makes
no,
I more living and dynamic.
I tend to think that like, you know, variety in texture is the spice of life. Like I think that's actually what like really started to attract me to inking. As like one of the things that I would like focus on. Like when I was in grad school, I was doing a lot of these small drawings that were just texture studies of like stone surfaces that had lots of cracks in them, or like things that had gouges kind of taken out. I was just really interested. I mean, partly comes from like you guys, Caroline, you remember when we did the panel this summer where Alexander Ross, he was somebody who like really tipped me off to like how interesting varied textures can be in a composition. And so I was doing all these drawings that were just texture studies because I found them so satisfying to try to figure out like what inking method is going to produce that texture the most compellingly, I guess. And so that's really ended up transferring into the work that I do illustration wise. I'm like, well, how many textures do I want in this? Obviously the answer is lots. And like, how can I best kind of achieve that? And I mean, there's always more. The best thing about inking is there's always more to learn too. It's like I'm never gonna feel like I know everything. So as I keep looking at more and more artists and seeing how they do stuff, there's always like a new move to crib. Like, hey, you know, I'm gonna try that in my work now. See how that works for adding texture, and also realize like the other part of it is. It's not just texture too. It's like mark making style can also be like just purely a design element, or it could be just purely a storytelling element, or it could be just purely a mood thing. And being able to use it for all of those things, not just sort of literally describing texture, is like kind of been eye-opening for me this year. So you're just thinking about how mark making can be part of the mood of a piece. So yeah, inking is kind of endlessly fascinating to me because of that. It's like there's so much you can do with just a line or a dot.
You also
That's why I find it
fucking
stressful. I'm
stipple.
sorry, Al.
I was gonna say you pay me to, and so I admire the fact, like, actually, because that to me is like the most masochistic way you can possibly draw.
It is definitely like cycling through as many different like shoulder loosening exercises as I can while working on a drawing, so that I don't want to kill myself by the time the drawing is done. But it's worth it.
And
it's
admirable.
Worth it, so we all say it's worth it.
All right. Sorry, my computer just like crashed all of a sudden. Anything else on your mind, Lucas? You want to share your input on?
Not really. I mean, we've kind of had some of the therapeutic talk that I was hoping for kind of going into this, and I'm sure we're gonna have a little bit more. For me, like this past year was just mostly just like a it was just an awful fucking year, to be honest with you. There were some good things, but it was kind of a mixed bag even when it was good things, and then when it was atrocious, it was just straight up atrocious. So I'm kind of just hoping this year is better. Mm-hmm. And I guess for me, it's kind of a matter of like, okay, well, I think I learned a lot, like business practices wise, this last year that I'm going to be applying to this year to make, particularly just to make my life easier, you know, because I'm like one of those people. I'm sure some of you feel the same way or have the same experience. One of those people have a really hard time saying no. I just wasn't raised to say no to people. I was raised that you should want to help, and you're a bad person if you don't want to help. You know, I've come to realize you can't run a business by saying yes to everything. You actually have to say no, and you have to get good at saying no. And I find that things like contracts kind of build the no's into everything. And so that's kind of what I'm hoping my experience will be a little bit more pleasant this year, a little more smooth for myself. So yeah, that's the last thing I've got to say, I guess, about that.